What is up, everybody? I am the one, the only, the king of Mexico, the mouth of the southern border, the Mexican of 1,000 crimes. I am Jesse Goku, and joining me is the Ayatollah Rock and Roller, the next big thing, the upcoming rap artist, Short Stack.
Yes, we're definitely glad to have our special guest here, John, and let's have him take it away.
And joining us, the man. He is known as many things. He's played many roles and done many voices. You can call him the gentle criminal himself. Acknowledge him, for he is John Gremillion. All right, thank you for joining us.
Well, hi there. I'm seeing myself completely still on camera. Is that cool?
No, you are not. You're moving.
We see you moving.
I don't see me moving. All right. Well, I'll just leave it at that. I look still on camera, but how's it going?
What's going on? Thank you for joining us on our.
You're very welcome.
This is cool. I've been. It's such. I'm a little flabbergasted because you're here. It's amazing. I'm really happy that you were able to join us.
Oh,
well, we met at the we know each other from the cons. We've had really great discussions. We've got to hang out a few times, especially at karaoke. You've come to do karaoke.
Yes, the karaoke, the karaoke panels that you do, which are awesome, by the way.
Thank you.
I think people were treated for the very first time to Gentle Criminal singing "Baby Got Back" at the first one that I did. That was fascinating.
That was amazing because I was already drunk at that point.
Is there video proof of this? I have to.
I'm sure somebody's got it on their phone, but thank goodness I've not seen it pop up anywhere on YouTube yet.
So we don't really allow during our adult panels. We don't really allow people to record.
Okay, there you go.
Because it protects people in case they decide to.
You can.
Right. Good idea.
Yeah, so it protects them because you know what, like our policy is, you came. Everyone has different many lives. People are nurses, they're teachers, they're caretakers, they're babysitters, they work for Uber. We want to make sure at the end of this weekend, like this during the con, at the end of the weekend, they are still in that profession.
You bet. All right.
So that's why we don't really mess with the recording stuff during the. But it was great. I loved it. So when you go up there and you're like, "Hey, can I sing this song with this accent?"
Right.
And I'm like,
"Sure."
What? Yeah.
Why would you not?
I mean, I just work here.
I get it. And I didn't, Short Stack, I didn't know you were a rap artist. I didn't know you were a hip hop artist. Is that true?
Yes, that's true.
Okay, very cool.
I have a few songs that are out right now.
All right. Right on.
Yeah, so before we begin, Keyblade Sonic is not here today. Unfortunately, he is running late. He will be here later on today. And once again, Jace is still on hiatus. Jace the Mace, who runs D&D on his own YouTube channel and Twitch channel. We don't know when he's going to be back. He's a parent, everybody, so he's got parently duties, like painting houses, doing the kids' homework, all that stuff.
Good for him.
Sonic, unfortunately, he does have other things going on tonight, but he will be here. And we just I don't really run the skinny. I've been pretty busy, especially yesterday. First, allow me to say to all of our viewers that watch the show live, to all of them that watch it post-show, to all of us that run into me at the conventions during my panels, happy Mother's Day to all of y'all, especially, if you have kids. Like, kids are expensive. They are very expensive. So happy Mother's Day to all the mothers in our community. And, like I said, I don't have a skinny. I don't run the skinny, but I can say this. Today's podcast is brought to you by Comic Palooza. If you haven't already bought your badges for Comic Palooza at the Houston George R. Brown Convention Center on May 26th through the 20th. It's the 26th through the 28th. Like I said, the George R. Brown. Go ahead and do so now by going to comicpalooza.com and purchasing your badges, because Geeks 5 Ever will be there. We have two panels. Dragon Ball, it's over 9,000, a Dragon Ball panel, and Dragon Ball versus My Hero Academia. We will be on the pink stage in the main floor for the convention. Comic Palooza, George R. Brown Convention Center. Over 70,000 nerds and geeks are going to be there from all walks of life. We're talking about Star Trek, Star Wars, the car show people, the D&D people, the Pathfinder people, the anime fans, the comic books, the Marvel movies, all of us, all in one place, all together. Comic Palooza, Houston, Texas, biggest Comic Con pop culture convention here in Texas.
Awesome.
It's part of my. I got to talk about this. It's
No,
part
of
of the
course.
agreement I have with them. So no, like everyone, thank you for if you are in the comment section, thank you. What's up? Oh, I'm sorry.
Somebody can't make it.
Yeah.
Hello, Kaylee. Thanks for showing up.
Thank you.
Hey, Jesse,
So
I had a question.
yeah.
What is the panel exactly when you say Dragon Ball versus My Hero Academia? What's like? Which
So
show is better? What's going on here?
so okay. So to let me add some context. It used to be Dragon Ball versus My Hero.
Okay.
I'm sorry, not. I'm sorry. It used to be. I'm sorry. I'm like I said, I'm dyslexic. I used to be Dragon Ball versus Naruto, but then Naruto's popularity dropped with Boruto because people
Oh,
were
okay.
just kind of unhappy with the show.
I got you.
So My Hero started debuting, and it got more and more popular, more and more popular. And I'm very picky about what anime I watch. I'm more old school, 90s, early 80s. I mean, I'm sorry, late 80s, 90s, early 2000s. So I'm really picky with the anime I watch, and I watched My Hero for the first time, and I was like, "Holy crap, this isn't bad."
Right.
And
I
then
felt that way too.
I started watching it more and more because I've watched. By the way, so we do cuss on the show, so I apologize if that is.
Oh, don't worry about that.
So I was watching My Hero, and I noticed that like the first season, like the main character just cries so fucking much, but then he stops. He stops, and then he stops crying. I've seen a lot of anime, like for instance, there's one called Eye Shield 21 where the main character is still crying
Yeah.
115 episodes in.
Okay.
And so I started watching My Hero. I was like, this is really good because like the medical science into the show, they talk about actual tendon and ligament and joint damage.
Wow. Okay.
And a lot of anime don't cover that. And I was like,
Right.
holy crap, this is really good. And then the villains weren't just like completely one dimensional either.
No. Every character on that show is pretty three-dimensional.
I think Gentle's definitely the best one to.
We're gonna thank you. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about
Yeah.
that.
So me and John have talked about Gentle, and we had a really good discussion at Anime Houston where we met. And so like we do Pokemon versus Digimon. We do
Okay.
Dragon Ball versus My Hero now. We did Log Horizon versus Sword Art Online.
Really?
Yes, the Log
Wow.
Horizon versus Sword Art Online was very one-sided.
And so when you say versus, you just mean fans of one show and fans who are
So
more fans of another show, and you kind of talk about why one show is better or what?
yeah,
Okay.
exactly. So
Okay.
it's not a death battle, and it even says in the program, this is not a death battle debate. This is a open mic, trash talk, fandom versus fandom comedy panel. So the
Okay.
whole point of the panel is for like people come up constantly. Like it's completely open mic.
All right.
The audience runs the panel. I'm just there to make sure nobody throws hands.
Okay.
And they'll
Awesome.
just talk so much trash. So we had this panel at Anime Texas,
Yeah. Okay.
and I don't know what happened. So we had the panel at Etchy Expo, Delta HCon, Comic Palooza. Every year, Comic Palooza always. This panel is so popular. After Comic Palooza closed their panel submissions, 3 days later, they already approved it.
Oh, that's great. Okay.
So it's just an entertainment. It's a panel where it's supposed to be entertaining and funny. And when we did it at Anime Texas, it evolved from
Yeah.
Dragon Ball versus My Hero. Like it started off like, yeah, you know what? My Hero Academia, I like that. You know, that's just Sky High the anime. And
Right.
Dragon Ball, like, oh yeah, Dragon Ball is great if you love watching a bunch of grown men scream to power up for 5 episodes. So it's pretty much
The
just trash talk. The
constipation noise.
scream. So eventually, that discussion evolved into which parking lot would be the best parking lot to have a fist fight in.
Okay.
So
Okay.
we all agreed in that panel that the Waffle House parking lot.
Or inside the Waffle House, like people typically do. You know, they don't
Yeah,
wait to go
no.
outside. They start throwing chairs over the counter.
Just make sure you catch the chair.
Make sure you catch the chair with a pan, with a frying pan, and go. Whoosh. That's your move. Okay, cool. Well, yeah, that's My Hero is probably one of the only anime of that I've watched all the episodes of that I'm completely caught up on.
Really?
Yeah. We don't.
Good for you.
I'm a video editor, right, by trade, and I've been doing video editing ever since as long as I've been a voice actor, and so I'm looking at a computer screen all day anyway for my job, and so I don't have time to keep watching. And if I want to watch something entertaining, I watch anything from stuff on Netflix to Amazon Prime or whatever. I go to the movies, and I don't have. Not only do we not have enough time to watch, certainly all the anime that we do, but when we got involved in anime, myself and a lot of my friends here in Houston. When we got into it, it was like the late 90s. Everything was on VHS, sub or dub. You got to pick one. It was really pricey to watch anime. No streaming, no internet, internet was a baby. And anime was like the little lonely guy in the corner of the party. I mean, there were 2 conventions a month probably. Not a lot going on. So we didn't know it was going to get so mainstream at all. So we just thought, this is another voiceover gig. This is great. We get to do voices on cartoons, and we didn't know where it was headed at all. But once it blew up, we didn't have time. I didn't go home and watch a lot of I have copies of most of the anime that I did. They gave it to us on VHS, then they gave us copies on DVD. Now we just stream it if we want to watch it. Right. And I've seen a few of the shows all the way through that I've been in, just because I was more particularly interested in them, right? Mm-hmm. And My Hero was definitely one of them. I heard about how popular My Hero was through the grapevine and started going to conventions more. I'm a stage actor as well. So I used to do a lot of theater, and I was with a group that did theater all the time, all year round. We did musicals here in Houston, and I didn't have weekends free ever. So I didn't go to conventions for a very long time. I started going to conventions around 2017. Then it dropped off because of the pandemic, of course. And then I'm back into it now, and I'm doing a lot of them this year. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, you're like all over Houston. I've seen you at like almost every I've seen you at almost every convention that I can think of that I've been to, at least.
Right. So we go to Anime Houston, Anime Dallas a lot. I'm going to go back to those this year probably. We'll see what happens, and then let's see. Hopefully we'll see each other there, and then I've been to a lot of them in Texas. I've been to Anime Lubbock, and I've been to Anime Fan Weekend in Pasadena recently, and I'm going to a lot. But I'm getting out of Texas too. I've been going to just got back from Triad Con, and then I did 3 of them in April. Triad Con and
Triad Con.
Yes, up in North Carolina, and I'm about to go do Gamers and Geeks next month, and then let's see what's after that. Black Hills Con in South Dakota, which I hear is awesome, and then I'm going to be back here for Delta H, and then we're going to be doing a lot of others. But yeah,
that's a busy schedule.
Yeah, it is. It's. I've been busier than I've been for a while, so it's been terrific. But like I said, I didn't go to cons for a long time. I started going only recently. And go ahead.
I'm actually intrigued because you stated at the time anime was not very huge in the market. It wasn't as popular.
Right.
You're actually talking to 2 people that have actual generation gaps of how anime started to become like getting bullied for, and now it's just like, oh, if you like anime, you're in.
Exactly. I've talked to a lot of people who tell that same story. They say, well, I was an anime nerd, and I got messed with by everybody, and now it's cool because everybody who's cool likes anime, right?
Yeah,
it got very
definitely a huge generation gap.
The tables have turned. Yeah,
and I actually, one of my questions was going to be about, as a voice actor, the difference now, because we talked about before the stream, which, by the way, guys, thank you for allowing me to be a podcaster on the stream. It's actually really awesome. But with Puni Puni Poemi, which is what one of my closest friends describes me as, this is why you act the way you do. You watch like anime crack. And Puni Poemi was one of those. And the voice acting in there was completely insane, like no filter, anything. And of course, as you know, and it's even banned in New Zealand.
Really?
Actually, yes, it's banned in New Zealand. In fact, it was a wiki fact I had to look up. Yeah, I
Why?
know.
Why New Zealand?
I'm sure if you've watched it, it has very bad sexual
Oh,
yeah, and I know
I
what scene it is. I don't want to say it because it's
okay.
actually really bad in concept.
Gosh. All
But I've
right.
watched it quite recently, and now I'm like, oh yeah, now I can see why New Zealand banned this. And then
Oh my gosh. My sister
yeah,
lives in New Zealand.
yeah, so she cannot watch it.
She can't check
It's
out Puni
banned.
Puni. She's going to be
No.
heartbroken. Gosh.
And that's why you should get Express VPN so you can put in the system.
Well, you know, I have it. It's probably Puni Puni is probably the one DVD I have over there that I appeared on. Is probably over there on my shelf.
Yeah.
I could
And I
go
wanted
grab it.
to ask the huge difference between then and now as far as like regulations and restrictions. And I'm pretty sure it's massive now.
You know, I don't know a lot about that, to be honest with you. I mean, I've not had a lot of discussions with people about what the restrictions are. You mean in terms of where things can be played? I mean, because I mean, usually there is a rating system for anime, even online. So they let you know what's MA, what's PG-13, et cetera. And I'm not sure how it works.
Yeah,
I
and
think
as
I,
a
I think that has more to do with like a licensing issue. So like, for instance, uh, you like Dragon Ball is always gonna be my number one because when I was growing up, we had anime in Mexico before there was like before the animes came out here. They were
Uh-huh.
out in Mexico. So I don't know if you're aware of this,
Okay.
but when Funimation started, like when they finally got the rights to Dragon Ball, they didn't
Mm-hmm.
get the footage from Japan.
Oh. Okay.
They had to get the footage from Mexico.
Oh, really?
Yeah. That is confirmed by Chris.
I did not know that.
Yeah, so a lot of the anime footage came from Mexico because
Okay.
Mexico had it first and they had it longer. And so like it wasn't always in the best shape. That's why
Okay.
some of the like some of the DVD qualities from the older anime is like a lot rougher, seasoned.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
So it just depends on the licensing because with like for instance this in Dragon Ball is just a big example. So there's like certain officially licensed products in Mexico that
Mm-hmm.
are licensed directly through Toy,
Okay.
but you can't do that here because it goes
Okay.
through Funimation and Crunchyroll.
Huh. All right. Interesting.
So it's kind of like Power Rangers, how like Mighty Morphin Power Rangers is like worldwide. It's everywhere except Japan. Like in Japan, it
Okay.
has to be strictly the Sentai. So that's more of a licensing thing. But going back, man, so we mentioned that anime is like it's so cool right now. Everybody loves it. Everybody hates, but a lot of people don't real like. And then we mentioned that there was that time when especially if you grew up in the hood. If you grew up in the hood and you loved anime, you got your ass kicked. Let's not beat around the bush here.
Wow. That's too bad.
It was the case, and like the only
even in
anime,
the suburban areas, same.
Oh, wow.
right? So like, hey man, you like Pokemon? No, I don't like Pokemon. No, but like it's changed now. Like there was so anime started becoming more and more popular, especially as cosplay and conventions started becoming more mainstream. It's also due in part to Marvel. I
Okay.
feel like Marvel has played a major role in
Has given it some legitimacy.
because now like you have all these amazing storylines, and people are starting to realize, holy crap, comic books and
Mm-hmm.
like video games
Yeah.
and like all these different forms of like pop culture media have like these amazing stories to tell.
Mm-hmm.
And so like that's when anime was already becoming popular with Toonami. Like Pokemon, Sailor Moon, Roni Kenshin, Dragon Ball, like these were like some of the animes that kind of paved the way for anime in this country.
Right.
And at one point, and then I think anime boomed once it started going into like correct me I mean everybody can disagree with me, but I feel like it boomed even more once it started going streaming services because at one point like everybody they were pirating everything, and like people were only making sales from like figurines and stuff like that.
Sure, sure.
And then they even added like into hip hop, like 6ix9ine added it to his music videos, and that's when like the craze started getting bigger and bigger. But I actually want to ask John, so how, besides the tapes, which
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure Zoomers don't even know what a tape is, how did you find anime on the TV? Because I know we found it. It was like on Cartoon Network, in the morning.
I just heard about it over time as I was, over the years, as I continued since I started, just over the years recording anime, I just heard different things. There was, when I was at ADV for a while in the early 2000s, the anime started to become more popular. There were cable networks that were devoted to anime, right? There was like the Anime Network, I think was one of them, and they ran, and one of them was run from the offices of ADV here in Houston. They had some people stationed here working on them. Friends of mine worked on them, and so I just started to hear about, oh, you can watch it on cable TV, you can watch it. Then way later, I heard about different channels. They would run Full Metal Alchemist on the Cartoon Network. They would started to run these popular anime shows. A lot of anime shows became extremely popular because they started to run them on certain cable channels. And I just heard about it over the years. It just started, as it started to pick up steam. I would hear about it, through the grapevine, right? What I was saying a minute ago about My Hero being one of the only shows that I ever watched all the way through. One of the reasons I did that is a reflection, or a symptom of the fact that anime has become so popular as it is now.
Mm-hmm.
A long time ago, most of the anime that I've recorded at ADV and over the years, and even at Funimation at the beginning, you would not have read the manga. You didn't watch a sub version or anything. You didn't know what you were doing. You were going in cold when you would go in. Most voice actors will tell you this. For the most part, we go in not knowing what we're going to look at, not knowing the character, not knowing the context. You don't know the plot of the show. You don't know anything. You're kind of going and doing an improvisation exercise in the booth, They're saying, hey, here's your character. You've got 2 hours. We're going to record all the stuff you're in the show. And a long time ago, they used to know every episode you were in because the whole show had already come out before they made the dub, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now they make the dubs simultaneously. We're doing simuldubs. So nobody knows how many episodes you're going to be in until the manga comes out. Then they make the episodes. Then you do this. So you can only know so much about it. But I would go in not knowing anything. So you'd see a character on screen. You'd come up with a voice. You'd watch the scene. You'd talk to the director about how do you hear his voice sounding. Let's nail a voice down, and then you just go. And whatever you come up with, that's what went on the DVD, or that's what's on Netflix or Hulu, or that's what's going on. So later, when I found out My Hero was so popular and like one of the most incredibly popular shows around, I really wanted to take part in it. And I said, okay, they said, hey, there's lots of characters coming up, man. You can probably do it. And I emailed Colleen Klinkenbeard, who's a good friend of mine, and had directed me in Black Butler a long time ago. She's a great director and voice actress, and we knew each other from Black Butler and from from other shows. And I said, listen, for what it's worth, I'd love to put my name in the hat, and I haven't been a Funimation in a really long time. It'd been years, and I said, if you can think of a character that I might be good for, let me know in the future. Let's try it out. So she sent me some sides for Gentle Criminal, and I looked at him and I said, oh, this guy's got to be British. Look, he's got a mustache, he's got tea, he's got all this stuff. He's got to be a British dude, right? So we talked about it. She said, I want you to audition an American voice and a British voice, and we'll pick one. I was like, please, British. And she decided we agreed it could be British. But before I got the job, I was like, I hadn't heard anything in about a week, and I was like pacing the floor. It was like I was actually concerned. I really want to get this role. And I've never felt that way in the past about getting an anime role, because usually they already cast you. They just call you and say, come do this role.
Right.
And that was one of the first times that I had, as anime has gotten more and more popular and more mainstream, people are taking these roles and getting the auditions and getting the roles more seriously than they did in the past. Mm-hmm. And it's more pressure. I kind of don't like that. I like the old days where, you just, because when you go in with no pressure, you do a better job, I think. Right. If you think, oh man, I'm going to be in My Hero, I've got to bring my A game. Everybody's going to be talking about this. That's a very different vibe. So some of us kind of miss the vibe of not. It's sometimes it's better to live in blissful ignorance, just not know how popular something is, not know anything. But with my hero, we really couldn't do that. I heard all about it.
Yeah.
I binged it. I caught up. I watched all of it. I got the whole vibe down. Before we recorded every one of my episodes, I watched the sub version. I'd never done that before, so I could know what my character was going to do. It gave me more preparation. We had more fun with it. So there's a good and a bad to it. You know, there's an upside and a downside.
I'm actually really glad you brought up the difference between now and then, because I can definitely tell the difference between not just your input, but overall all other voice actors, how much more fun it was back then to like just be part of that role, to enjoy that role in the improv you mentioned as well.
Sure. You're looser. Yeah, you can be looser with it. But, you know, the directors are great. All the directors at the studios at Crunchyroll and Sentai really know what they're doing. They really focus on detail. They don't want you to fail. They want you to do a really good job and have fun with it. So that there's always a good spirit in the studio. It would be very different if I had just gotten into voice acting these days when it was popular. Since we've had years and years of experience doing it when it wasn't so popular, you know what I mean? You got into a certain vibe with the directors. You got into a certain mood in the studio. So you just try to keep that where it is, and you try to just enjoy yourself. You got to have fun with it. The more fun you have, the better it is. But yeah, Gentle's my favorite role so far, and I'm not just saying that because he's my hero. I think he's one of the best written characters that I've played. I tell people this a lot. I talk about this at panels, at cons, and everything. A lot of people saw Gentle and La Brava, and they went, "What is going on here? These two goofy people who aren't really menacing. They're not really mean. They're not doing anything really dangerous. I just saw Overhaul. This is supposed to be these aren't villains. What's going on here?" And so they got some hate for a little while. In some circles, there's some hate on them, and some people really like them a lot. And I tell people there's a deeper message to their stories, right? They've got really serious backstories. La Brava was going to end it all. You know, she was really, and people can relate to that. She got made fun of in school and she didn't like herself. And a lot of people can relate to that because we've all been bullied as kids, whatever. Gentle wanted to be a hero. He failed at it. And, you know, how many people in life have tried something and didn't do so well at it? And we wish we could go back and fix it. I mean, me, everybody I know practically. I mean, that's a pretty universal thing, right?
Right.
And the thing that's sad about Gentle is, it's really powerful about his story, is that he was so rejected by people and let down by his family, and things didn't go well for him at all. Nothing worked for him. And he was so down on himself that he decided, I can't do anything with my life or do any kind of good that I want in the world unless I'm someone else. I got to be someone else if I'm going to achieve anything. That's how down he was on himself. That's pretty heavy, right? That's a pretty heavy storyline. So I don't think it's just all goofiness. I think there's some real heavy stuff to it. And guess what? He decides to be somebody else on social media, on YouTube. I mean, how many people are doing that, right? How many people how many people do you know put this one story of themselves on social media, but it's not the whole picture of who they are?
Right.
We're up. I mean, there's a lot of messages in there in his story, in that arc, about social media, how people treat it, how people look at their image. I mean, it's all there, right? And I tell people, because I meet a lot of people who seem to think today they're so wired by social media, and I didn't grow up with any social medias, right? So, and I'm glad. So they think to themselves, I want to be an actor. I want to be a cosplayer. I want to be a writer. I want to be a director. I want to do something. I'm nobody unless I'm popular on the internet. If I don't go viral, if I don't get this many views and subs or whatever, I'm not talented. I'm not gifted. That is BS, right? I think that is BS. And it's really sad that a lot of people think that, because they think, you know, look, I'm not knocking going viral. If you go viral, more power to you. Rock on. But it's not a measure of what you're worth. Your self-worth and what your talent and your internet popularity are two completely different things. And if one complements the other, that's great, but they're different. So I think that's a good message of his whole arc too, because, you know, I'm not going to give any spoilers away, but I think, you know, I think his story is going to bear that out.
Hmm.
That's actually a really good in depth idea. And looking at your, filmography, I actually have to agree. Like that character, out of all the characters you've done so far, and by all means, I love your older voice acting because they're
Thank
very
you.
unrestricted. They were more fun.
Cool.
But this one definitely was more in depth, and you can hear that in the voice.
Cool. Thank you.
Let
Yeah.
let's talk about that for a second though. You were talking about like how you social media, if you're not popular, you haven't made it. So here's the thing, guys. This goes out to our viewers. Geeks Five Ever has been around since 2016. Most of our popularity comes from the panels. Doesn't actually come from the podcast. Like, okay, occasionally we do really good. There's times where we don't do really good. Like, there are times, are like I've hosted panels where nobody showed up. I've hosted panels where 500 people have showed up. I have done stand up to where one person laughs at my joke, nobody laughs at my joke. But I'm constantly trying because when we first started Geeks Five Ever, it wasn't so we could become famous or popular or anything like that. We saw, we realized that we were getting older, and like, hey, we're mid 20s, you know, late 20s, and there's a new generation of cosplayers, congoers, and people are like, yeah, when we first came to this community's so massive now, but at the time it was still growing, and we wanted to do something to kind of help and address some of the issues and some of the problems and stuff like that. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. Like, we don't have like 1,000 followers. We have a good amount of followers. We do have people that tune into the live show, and I'm happy with that. And if we go anywhere, but our whole point is that our message as a group has always been we want to help people rather than be famous.
There you go.
And so, like, you can ask anyone that has
Excuse
ever
me.
been to my panels. No, bless you.
Sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. You can ask anybody that's ever been to ever been to our panels. I try to be entertaining. I try to, like, I'll make an ass of myself if it will make somebody laugh
Yep.
or put a smile on their face. And like, that's what, whether you're a voice actor or whether you're a voice talent. I mean, your voice. You're acting. You're doing podcasts. You're doing panels. You're an athlete. You like. There are a lot of people that do it solely just for the attention, and then there are people that do it because they genuinely like being entertainers. Like, there's a difference. Yeah, like, the attention is nice. Don't get me wrong. Like, I could
Of
go for some
course.
attention,
Of course.
but like, whenever people recognize you and they smile and they say that they're like, "Oh my god, I love you. I love your stuff." It's like a different feeling, man. Like,
Yep.
Like the
Well, yeah, well,
appropriate
because
attention.
it's if somebody tells you that in person and they don't care if it's on the internet or not, it's genuine. It's real. And fame, you know, if you're famous but you are not genuine, you're not going to last very long. But if you're genuine, you can be known for that in a much deeper way, and you can be famous on top of that. It doesn't matter. But you're remembered for what you say and do.
mhm,
And that seems really basic, but it's very true. And I think we're on the same page. I mean, I
mhm.
think it's definitely means a lot more to me when somebody comes up to me at a convention and goes, thanks for saying that at your panel. My kid listens to you. He might not listen to me, right? But he listened to what you said
Well,
at your panel, and that helped me out a lot. And I'm saying, okay, great, that's really cool. Or hey, if you're nice to somebody and you tell them to do what they want to with their lives, do what you want to, do what makes you happy. I had a guy come up to me at a convention and said, I want to write science fiction, but I don't know, man. I don't know if anybody will like it. I said, do you like it? Do you want to do it? He said, yeah. I said, then you got to do it.
Mhm.
You got to do it. 2 years later, he came up to me at another con and he handed me 4 books that he had written. Here's your copy of the books. Thanks for encouraging me. It's like, wow,
Mhm.
that's the best, right?
I agree. I
Totally.
agree with that 100%.
Yep.
I'm gonna segue him in here in a minute, but I just want to bring something up. This person right here is very particular.
Yes.
He's one of the we
Who's that?
call our so he is one of the people in charge of Geeks Five Ever.
Okay.
Whenever I'm not able to do anything or make a big decision. So he was one of the. I, I had when I first met you, I had talked to him like, "Hey, dude, guess who I met? I met Gentle Criminal." He's like, "Get him on the show."
So who are you talking about?
This is seven. His stage name is 17. He's
Okay.
his comments the one displayed on the screen right now.
Oh, Joshua. Okay. Hey, Joshua. Oh, cool.
Yeah.
One of my favorite characters. Thank you very much. Yeah, we got to look at some of the chat here.
Yeah. So we got this one right here is
Yeah.
very cool.
Yes. Yes. All about the message.
And this is the cool thing that I was talking about. See, like this one right here is from. It has the little Facebook logo.
Oh, first time I saw Gentle.
This
Cool.
one has the YouTube. I didn't mean to.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to cut it off. So this
Oh,
one
don't worry
has the
about it.
YouTube. So that's what I was talking about before we came on live. That these are 3 different channels streaming simultaneously.
Right on. Yeah. Yeah. I get it.
And they might not be able to see each other's channels because, like, in one channel we have like more viewers than the other. But before we continue, let's. So we have a late entry. The Texas gaming hedgehog himself, the man that runs the skinny. He's the Ayatollah of rock and roll. He's also an upcoming voice talent. He does a lot of independent work. The one, the only Keyblade Sonic.
Hey.
Sonic, why
Uh-oh.
are you driving and on?
That's what I was about to say. I'm glad you scolded him first.
Can you even hear us?
I can't
It's
hear him.
probably really bad.
Oh, his signal's bad.
Yeah.
Hey,
Uh-oh.
dude, you're very choppy, by the way. It
Chop,
just looks like he's
Dan
smiling creepily at us.
screwed. Chop, chop, chop. Sorry, I had to put that in there.
So I love the fact that I'm gonna see if it'll. Yeah, his signal's very bad. It gives us his signal strength. So I'm gonna let it refresh for a second.
All right.
So I love the fact that when we first met, so I met a lot of voice talent. I've hung out with Johnny
Sure.
Young Bosch. I've hung out with I've met some that I met some voice talent that were awesome, like really cool down to earth people. And I've learned a lot. Like when we met, like it was kind of crazy because I had just watched the episodes of My Hero with the Gentle Criminal.
Oh,
That's why I
wow.
was like, that's why we were talking. You're like, dude, isn't that kind of weird? And you're like, no, it's not. No, it's not. Shut up. No, it's not. You were scolding me
great.
about it. We were having a great discussion. It was amazing.
Cool.
And I love the fact that we met at my panel because, like, I don't think about it half the time. Like, I'm like, so I've had the privilege of getting to know Chris before he had passed. I got to
Oh,
meet.
yeah. Chris Harris.
He knew me as the Dragon Ball Z guy.
Yep.
I always had brand new shit for him to sign.
He's a great guy.
I got to meet and personally get to know Jason David Frank before he had passed.
Mm-hmm.
I've met. So I'm not allowed near wrestlers anymore. I'm not allowed to meet wrestlers anymore because
Okay.
apparently every time I meet professional wrestlers, something happens to them. I met
Okay.
Eddie. I saw Eddie Guerrero's final pay-per-view match. Unfortunately, and then I saw Sting's last WWE pay-per-view match before he broke his neck. So I'm like a curse to
You think
professional
you're
wrestlers.
cursed? Okay.
Because
Okay.
every
Well, like
single one that I've met, like they've gotten injured. Like
I
with
see.
I feel like that was
not
emo
voice
rappers.
talent though, not voice talent. So as long as you're not a professional wrestler, you're good.
I am not. I will never be a professional wrestler. I can't do anything close to that.
It is dangerous. I will not lie. Like
I bet.
The fact that Bad Bunny's doing it is crazy.
Bad Bunny is taking it seriously. He's a great talent. I haven't really listened to his music, but he's a great guy. But
Right.
I really love the fact that when we met, it was after you saying. So for those of you that aren't aware, John saying "Baby Got Back" with like a British accent, and it was like. So at the time, I think we were buzzed because we were drinking,
Right.
and we weren't even hiding. We're like, woo. And like the guy running the panel is one of the head staff members of like the con. He's like, "Hey man, you drinking?" Yes. He's like, "Okay,
Yes.
all right, cool." Because some of the voice talent might be drinking too, so I didn't know if you were okay with that. I don't care. And I got to meet you. I got to meet Linda. I got to meet so many people. It's so amazing, and it's so crazy because. And the point I'm like here, and the point I'm trying to make is like when people look at voice talent, they're so like starstruck with y'all. And like it's so amazing because you guys play these characters that everybody loves so much that it can be kind of intimidating to meet
Hmm.
someone that's that character like because some people like there's probably a character like Gentle Criminal. People looked at him differently by the end of that arc because he
Mm-hmm.
wasn't just like he was kind of goofy at first, but you understood him. He was goofy, but he was someone who was completely misunderstood and he was trying to
Right.
be something. He was trying to
Right.
be someone.
Right. Yep.
And
Exactly.
that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to like there are a lot of people like for instance, for me, I will sometimes just text people out of the blue, "Hey, I don't know if you need to hear this or not, but I'm proud of you.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like whatever you've accomplished."
Everybody needs to hear that.
Yeah, everybody needs to hear it, but some people don't hear it.
Right. Right. Yeah.
And that's where like the whole gentle criminal thing kind of like
Yeah.
changed people's perspective of that character at least
Mm-hmm.
because there are some villains you're like, man, I can't stand that damn character. I hope he gets killed.
Right. Right. Right.
Like the lady from Harry Potter. Like I've only ever seen the few Harry
Oh,
Potter movies.
Professor Umbridge. Yeah.
I, I'm not good with names. I just know she was in a pink dress and she had this like I'm gonna call the cops face, and I was like, oh, I hope she gets hit by a flying broom or some shit. But
Oh,
like,
reading the
dude,
books was worse.
at any rate, so I only watched the movies. So
Okay.
it's great that like people get to meet like you when we met. Like I just realized that you're even though you're in these like because I'm looking at everything. Like I said, I told you flat out that I looked up your IMDb just to see, and you have 222 different credits on here.
Wow.
It was a lot to scroll through. I
Cool.
was more excited for the bottom part of the beginning of your arc as a voice actress or voice acting,
Yeah.
especially with Yumi Mora, Puni Puni Poemi,
Right.
a lot of the older stuff,
Yeah.
which is why I'm so glad to hear your journey through voice acting,
Mm-hmm.
as far as like the differences now and like the commitment and like seeing you grow and hearing those like at 14 years, like I remember getting Puni Puni Poemi as much as the I call it sadistic humor because it's really bad humor,
Yeah.
and the satire and everything, Magic Schoolgirls. That was at Blockbuster,
Oh
and I
wow.
couldn't believe that was at Blockbuster. Even as a kid, I
Wow.
was like, this looks really great. It's a Magic School. Nope, it was definitely not what I thought at
Right.
14 years old.
Right.
But either way, it's just a great. I'm starstruck by your journey. I wouldn't say who you were, because I try to, you're a person too. Like when I met Ian Sinclair, like obviously I went so crazy that he was Space Dandy, because that's the one I
Yeah.
like the most. But I
Right.
still like treat him like he's a human being. But seeing your journey is just the twinkles in my eyes, basically.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you. Well, yeah, so here's a funny story. Speaking of, characters that people like and that they pay attention to and put above other characters. I was at a panel one night, a late night panel at a con, and I think it was Anime Dallas a long time ago. And we're all talking about different things that we've done, different characters that we've played, and hey, what's some characters that we may not know that you play, et cetera, et cetera. And I had started talking about, well, I'm Gentle Criminal, and people go, oh, cool. And hey, I've done Mihawk in One Piece. And people are like, oh, yeah, cool. I'm this Food Wars, this and that. And I kind of said, what else have you done? Oh, I did, Panty and Stocking. Ah, everybody just went nuts. So I had like 3 lines in Panty and Stocking. I played a
Oh my gosh, that's
Transformers
right there.
character, Transformers-based character called Coctimus Prime.
The Coctimus Prime. I actually was
Yes.
bawling here.
And so I put that on my demo reel now because everybody trips out when they see that you're in Panty and Stocking. That's like a real good credit to have that everybody kind of digs because everybody likes that show. Everybody watches. It's a crazy show. It's totally crazy pants, but it's
or crack anime is what they
yeah,
call
it's
it.
crack. It's yeah, Panty and Stocking is the epitome of crack anime. That's absolutely right.
I have no idea what y'all are talking about.
So
Y'all lost me there.
So some of the older generation anime really had no filter.
Right.
And like I said, the one that we were talking about, Puni Puni Wami, really had no way in Rhyme and Reason to stay filtered. It's a crazy 2 episode anime, and the character spoke I think like 1.5 times faster than the average human being. And usually those animes are the ones that have no story. I mean, they have like a kind of a plot, but it's like pointless at the end of it because, happy hearsay Disney ending. But and it goes so fast that you're like, what did I just watch? I wouldn't say Space Patrol Lotoko. It's the other one with the skull face, and he's a police officer. Project Trigger is one of those ones that creates a lot of that, like, really over exaggerated anime with no point to it, but it's just so phenomenally crazy that you're just like, what is going on?
Yeah, you can't look away. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh,
I agree.
That's so. Somebody pointed out something, and I was researching it.
Yep.
Gentle Criminal. There's a Latino dove of
Yes.
Gentle Criminal, and
I read that. And they say sounds muy guapo. Yeah, I read that.
So he does. So I'm imagining him. So I just found him.
Okay.
It sounds pretty interesting.
Okay.
I was kind of expecting the Antonio Banderas accent, the fake accent.
Oh no.
Right. Oh,
It's not. But
So
I did find.
Okay, good.
Do you watch One Piece?
No.
Okay. Well,
I want to try.
You want to try? That's a hell of a try because it's 1,000 episodes and counting or more. But
Yes.
so you got to have a lot of time commitment. In fact, what's really crazy is that one of the good things that did come out of the pandemic, very few things good came out of it, but one good thing, or that was kind of interesting, was that during lockdown, people started watching One Piece a lot because they said, I can watch this forever. I don't have to leave the house. I just got 1,000 episodes, go. And so One Piece is kind of enjoying a renaissance right now. A lot more people are into it, I think, because of the pandemic, because of lockdown. So we're getting a lot more attention and a lot more questions about characters like Mihawk and Luffy. I mean, so for me, people are digging Mihawk. And when I first did Mihawk, I first started recording him in 2007. And he's this badass swordsman. He shows up every 2 years and goes, I'm a badass, goodbye. And that's about it. He just kicks everybody's ass and leaves. So
that's pretty much your voice acting art, really, in my opinion, because
I appreciate it.
those roles.
Yeah. So when I came in the studio, I didn't know what to do, and he looks like a Nico Montoya, and I said, no, I don't want to do a Spaniard, and some guy did him as a Frenchman on the 4Kids dub. He's not French. Come on, let's figure something out. And I had just seen a Harry Potter movie, and I thought about Snape. And I can't imitate Alan Rickman, but you've got that very deep kind of voice like that. And then I just took away the British and kept it sly and nasal and in my nose like a snake like that. And that's his voice.
Oh wow.
So I just came up with it that way. The director said, "Okay, let's do that. I like it, and that's his voice." But yeah, he only shows up a little bit. He's going to show up from what I understand, he's got a lot of stuff coming up in the future.
Woo!
But that show is going on forever.
You know that show? Are you aware that the One Piece was announced that it's in its final arc as far as the manga goes?
I'll believe it when I see it. But yes, I heard that.
Yeah, so that was from the creator himself. So I think, and I'm gonna put it to you like I'm gonna put this. This is for the audience.
Okay.
Watching. I'm going to shit a chicken.
What?
If we find out One Piece is the damn hat.
Oh, yeah. They Mike McFarlane, who directs a lot of One Piece, had a joke about that. We were up at Connecticut in Connecticut, and we were having a One Piece panel, and it's Mike McFarlane, the director, who knows the show backwards and forwards. It's Kyle Phillips, who directs the show and writes a lot of it, so he knows it backwards and forwards, and me. I go in and record Mihawk once every 3 years or so, and I don't know a thing about all the whole, thing, the show. So I felt like, you guys answer the questions. I'm not going to be able to answer these questions. And they're asking deep questions. And everybody wants to, okay, what do you think the One Piece is? And Mike McFarlane said, I bet they open this treasure chest and there's a red button in there, and you hit the red button and the whole series starts all over again. It's like, no. So we thought that
no, they're gonna
Space
pull a
Dandy did
Futurama.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
can't do that.
Futurama did that. Futurama did
Oh,
that.
really?
Yes. So Futurama ends with the everything having to start all over again because
Oh
they're in a
no.
they had this the time device and they break it so they're trapped between space and time and so the professor says, "Oh, I can fix this and get us back in the flow of time, but we're gonna have to start from the beginning." So Futurama, as of right now, because there's a new season coming out,
Yeah.
as of right now, is set as an endless loop.
Oh wow.
There
Oh wow.
is there
That's
are other shows that have done it. I forget who's done it,
Space
but
Dandy.
I have
Space
never
Dandy
seen
did
Space
it.
Dandy. I hate the endless loop like
yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
I think it's a lot better than what these regular sitcoms do. Like, what was it, Dexter, and then Weeds and Nip Tuck. Well, Nip Tuck had a good ending, but I also watch like real life sitcoms and things like that. I'm trying to watch Seinfeld, and I'm like, okay, when
Oh
when am
yeah.
I gonna laugh? I'm waiting for the laughing part.
So
Where's the funny part?
I'm more of a that '70s show,
Okay.
Married with Children.
Oh wow.
Uh, let me see. I gotta look at my DVD collection real quick.
Okay.
uh, Power Rangers, Ninja Turtles stuff. I'm more of a gamer, if anything.
Right.
But like, it's kind of cool that like you played all these different characters. You played Mihawk because I've never seen One Piece, and it's like it's too far in now. It just never really caught my attention.
Yeah,
And
that's
like
cool.
they've been saying that the show is about 80% over for like the last 10 years. So I'm kind of like I'm like yeah
he's he's not wrong.
I get it. That's cool.
and then like I kind of like I there's some anime that I'm like oh my god this one's really good like I love Full Metal Alchemist
Yeah.
Brotherhood like
Right.
that is great. I love My Hero. I love some old school stuff. So I remember watching Saint Seiya in Mexico.
Oh
So
wow.
here in
Yeah.
the U.S., it's called Saint Seiya,
Right.
but in Mexico, it's called Caballeros del Zodiaco,
Mm-hmm.
the Knights of the Zodiac, because they didn't call it Saint Seiya.
Right.
And then there was Super Campeones, which was the Captain Tsubasa one.
Okay.
There we had Sailor Moon and Dragon Ball, and they didn't censor. So the cool thing about Spanish dubs is they didn't censor a single thing, and like the songs were like all the theme songs were directly translated. All the attacks, like so. The one thing I noticed with like, and this is early Funimation dub, like especially like with Dragon Ball,
Mm-hmm.
they renamed some of the attacks. Like one of Piccolo's attacks in Funimation dub, it's called the Special Beam Cannon. But in Mexico, they call it Macanco Sapo, which is actually its Japanese name.
Okay.
So I really like. So I'm so in love with Spanish dub.
Yeah.
So I was gonna actually ask you about that. Like, how do you feel about like when people just fight endlessly about like
Which dub or sub to watch or whatever.
yeah
It's to each his own, you know. To each, everybody's. You like what you like. I mean, if we didn't have subs, I would not have a job doing dubs. So I
hmm
can't be mad at subs,
hmm
right?
I am a dub person.
Yeah. Sure.
I love dub because I've learned something while watching Mexican dub anime.
Uh huh. Uh huh.
Is that the acting is never like to me the best acting has always for old anime. For old anime, the best acting was the Spanish ones,
Okay.
and like the newer anime, it's not so much the case anymore because like a lot of the same voice actors still play like all the animes. Where with English dub, it's like you have a bunch of new upcoming voice talent. Like there's a lot of new people that are just getting into the industry, breaking into the industry.
Yeah.
Like for you, I like you said you started doing it for like you really got into it recently. Like you started going. You said when did you start voice acting?
Well, I mean, I did commercials and stuff before I
But
did anime a little bit, but I got into anime in 1998.
1998.
Yeah, ADV
25
Films here in
years. Let's
town,
go.
which is now Sentai. Um, they needed more actors. They started getting more licensing to do a lot more anime, and they only had a very small pool of actors because they were typically only doing 2 shows a month, and they had enough actors for them. So they just wanted to expand their talent pool, and so they started putting out wanted ads in the paper. They just in the back of the Houston Press magazine, we saw somebody, some of our actor friends saw these open call auditions every couple of months, and we all showed up, waited in a room to meet Matt Greenfield, the director and the co-founder of ADV, or another director they put us in a studio with. And we just auditioned for this stuff, and some of us got some roles, and that was it. It took off from there. And they would call you if you did a decent job. They would call you for another one, and you were part of a pool of actors that they had. Their talent pool, and they stuck with those people for the most part for most of their shows and most of the roles. I can't say exactly how many because I don't really know the exact situation there, but they would pull in different people to do different accents, or I don't know if they ever pulled in different actors that were outside the pool just for a couple of shows. I don't know if it ever went that way, but for the most part, they just had this one big talent pool that they kept using. And then a lot of us found out about Funimation over the years. And I found out about Funimation through other people who were already going up to Fort Worth to record. Mm-hmm. And then I met Mike McFarland over the phone, sent him a demo reel. I was a video editor, so I sent him my best stuff from ADV, and he had me audition over the phone, and then drove to Fort Worth and started working for Funimation and started doing shows over there. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's been a while. It's been a long road.
So I have, I'm not gonna put his name out there because I don't have his permission, but a friend of mine, that's how I got to meet some voice talent and get familiar with what was going on, and that's how. So he was talking about like the different oh yeah, I gotta go do this, I gotta go audition for this, and this is when Dragon Ball Super was still going on. He's like, dude, I'm going to Fort Worth and I'm gonna audition because they're doing the Tournament of Power, and they're gonna have like 80 characters, so I'm hoping to land one of the roles.
Right.
And so he was telling me it's a hustle,
Yep.
like acting in general. People, and Johnny has said it. I don't remember her name, but she was the voice actress of Hinata and the voice of Naruto. They've said it. Like everyone has said it. Like acting as a whole is a hustle.
Oh, totally.
And I think like there's like a lot of people that want to do voice talent, and like nowadays there's so much like fan dub stuff. Like you have Rooster Teeth, they're doing their own stuff.
Yep.
You have Team 4 Star, they're doing their own stuff now.
Right.
Like I remember when they first started, like you go back and you watch their 2008 stuff, it's awful. I'm not gonna lie to you, it's awful.
Okay.
It's but you watch their stuff now, it's like, oh wow, these guys have they're even in one of the video games, they kind of piss Toy off, but nonetheless, that is neither here nor there. Like it's so like there's more opportunity. I feel, especially with more and more anime. Like Netflix is now commissioning their own anime. Like Amazon Prime is like doing their own animes now. And,
wow. Okay.
yeah, because you have like the Seven Deadly Sins. You got you have non-anime properties too. Like you have animated shows like Invincible.
Yes.
Like that did really well, and you have so much.
But
it's still a hustle.
It's interesting.
Not to mention abridged.
It's interesting because I don't see, and I never thought of Invincible specifically or shows like that as anime. I saw them as animated shows. But when I think anime, I think more traditional. It starts as a manga in Japan, runs on Japanese TV, then we dub it into English. Otherwise, it's not really anime.
Right.
But I guess you could argue, that's interesting. Never thought of that.
So in Mexico, it's a little bit different. It's all the same thing, pretty much.
Yeah.
So that's how that was the culture it was growing up. Because anime is huge in Mexico, but they love like all things anime.
Right.
And so,
give me just 1 second. Hold on.
Yeah, go ahead.
There you go.
All right. So while John steps to do what he has to do, our official sponsors for the podcast are, if you haven't already signed up for Comic Palooza at the George R. Brown Convention Center here in Houston, Texas, on May 26th through the 28th. That is right. Comic Palooza is back. The biggest pop culture anime. It's not anime. I'm sorry. Comic Con in Texas. is back again this year, and Geeks 5 Ever will be there. We'll be hosting 2 panels this year. I know us other anime podcaster enthusiasts, Pixelation will also be there. He's a really cool guy, friend of ours. Pixelation will be there hosting a panel called Guest at Opening. We'll be hosting My Hero versus Dragon Ball and it's over 9,000 a Dragon Ball panel. We'll be there. Also, this podcast is brought to you by soap
Soap.
and deodorant. Get some. It's a joke. We're always making jokes on this
Oh
podcast.
yeah, soap and deodorant need to be a serious part of the anime world, don't they? The con world.
There are many things I've been called. I've been called, especially at the cons. I'm like, we were at Anime Houston the first year, and we were walking to the tiny room that they had us in for karaoke.
Right.
And I'm walking back there, and I just scream, "Oh Jesus! Oh no! Oh, we must be there. We must be. I'm so sorry." But I literally said out loud to like the staff, "Oh, we must be near the gaming room."
Oh, dude.
It was so, not to throw shade at the gaming room, but in that hallway there was a bad stench, and because
Wow.
I don't know what it is, but Anime Dallas, Anime Houston always have like bad luck with like venues where the AC is just not like up to par.
I think that's all conventions, honestly.
For some, it's better than others, but it gets really
No.
hot in the karaoke. Like it got hot in the karaoke rooms.
We had issues at one of the Hyatt Regency hotels. I remember that because that's the one I think I met you at, and
It was hot in the karaoke.
it was the summertime. It was in June last year. It was the heat of summer, which in Houston is like living in a mouth. It's terrible. And then and so some rooms were really nice and cold and other rooms were not as much, and it was like there was a total imbalance in the hotel. But it was all about the hotel.
Mhm.
I mean, it was the hotel's AC system that was wonky, right?
Yeah, that's completely so. Whenever we review conventions, we never review conventions based off of stuff they can't control.
There
Like
you go.
we don't review conventions like panel content. That's a gray area, unfortunately, because they do kind of control what is on the schedule, but they don't control who submits.
Yeah.
We don't control like anything the hotel has. Like if it's hot, AC, parking. That's just the circumstance of the convention itself.
Yep.
The convention center. I mean, like
Yep.
communication between the staff, the volunteers,
Right.
are the panel how well of a job are they doing to make sure the panels are running on time? Because conventions can't control that.
Right. Right.
How easy it is to find stuff,
Yep.
the amount of things to do in the convention itself, just little things here and there, like room parties. Definitely, we don't rate cons on that.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Of course.
Like it has to be within the control of the con. So last year, uh, Etchy Expo won our con of the year
Oh.
because even though they're an 18 plus con, it's like, oh, that's kind of not fair. They're 18 plus because they are so heavily like involved with
Yeah.
every aspect of their programming. It
Yeah.
felt like there was never a dull moment during that con.
Wow.
There was always something to do, and you can appreciate that. Anime Houston definitely came in on a close. They came in third.
Okay. Huh.
I forgot who.
That's pretty good.
I have to look at. Actually, I think they came in second.
That's
Anime
good.
Houston was really close, and I think Comic Palooza was like third. But this year we're going to see how things are going. So far, I think I have to get back to you because I have a list.
Okay.
I don't have it with me, but
Oh, no problem.
anyway, so we met at the con, and I knew it was hot in the karaoke,
Yes.
and that's just something that we couldn't control. The con couldn't control, and that's just like we didn't fault them for that because that's like I said, that's the hotel,
yeah.
that's their
yeah.
AC system. That's
Yeah,
just
we
how
were
it
we were
works.
downstairs. We were down under the first floor. We're kind of more in the basement area. All the voice actors were there, and it was warm down there. You know, I went home and got a fan, like this Home Depot battery operated fan. Put it on my table. Stay cool. It was like it was warm. I mean, Houston in the summertime. God help us all. but
It's not cosplay.
you
friendly
got to
at
have
all.
some serious AC going. You got to have your AC game on point if you're going to do anything in Houston whatsoever in the summer.
Yeah, no, I completely
I
agree.
went last summer. I went to some cons. I went to Wichita Anime Festival Wichita, and I was in Wichita, Kansas, and it's just nice and cool outside, 70 degrees in the middle of June. I'm like, I don't want to go home. This is amazing. I'm sitting outside having some breakfast. This is incredible.
Don't make
Ugh,
me leave.
can't do it in Houston. I know, man. Come on. I'm gonna be. I'm very glad. Well, I don't know if South Dakota. I'm gonna go to Black Hills Con, so I don't know if South Dakota's that, but I'm gonna be in Alabama. That's gonna be hot. We'll have to see what
Tennessee was
happens.
pretty good
Yeah.
last year
Okay.
when I went. And that's even when it was like nighttime and it was kind of muggy because you're near the river right there on
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Memphis.
Right.
But I had fun. It was actually my first con, and I don't like going to the big cons. I'm kind of like, as much as I am a music artist, I get really introverted at cons. But
Yeah.
I go to raves, and I couldn't care less. But at cons, I'm
Right.
like, oh my god,
Right.
so
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
much social anxiety, so much fangirling, fanboying, fan persons going around, and I can just feel all that. So that's why um, it's great that you just start. You said you started to go to cons in 2017, but then COVID happened, so you're just running back on that.
Yep. Yep.
And as someone who's just now going to cons, I feel that a lot to see, someone as far as your filmography goes, like just so excited. I did want to ask when it comes to like your newest role versus
Yeah.
your older roles, um, talking about that, hearing the older stories, I wanted your opinion, like when people know, like for instance, when I was like Pootie Poo Whammy, I just noticed you were on Ghost Stories, and I really loved that. That was great. I was like, yes, another anime crap.
Yeah. Oh,
That
big
was
time.
so infamous now. It's a very
Yeah, and
meme.
I was like a couple of people. It's like a creepy cab driver. I didn't have a very big role to play, but I played some little cameos in that one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it's still great because it's like it's that, and it's for me like, oh my gosh, that's like the memery now.
Yeah.
Um, and then the one that I was mentioning, Inferno Cop, like those really hyperactive animes with no plot to them. But Ghost
Right.
Stories had
Right.
a plot,
Did you
but
watch?
was
Did you ever watch Excel Saga?
I did want to after I watched Puni Puni
That
again.
Excel Saga is some strap in for that one. That is a nutty show. And then there's Cromartie High School is one of my favorite comedies.
Party
So,
High School, okay.
Yeah, that's a
funny
great one.
thing about Excel Saga, it's made by, I know his last name is Watanabe.
Yep.
Guy has the big fro, always wears the red jacket
Yep.
everywhere. So we worked for Kamikaze Con. I was staff and a guest, and he was there as he was there as one of the Japanese guests for the con.
Oh wow.
They took him to a super Walmart because he had never been inside a store that big.
Oh my god.
Let me tell
Wow.
you, this man almost broke out in the song like it was a Disney movie.
Wow.
I
Wow.
thought he was great. He was funny. Like he was great to like work with. I've worked with a lot of guests before. Some I don't remember as much because we had way too much fun,
Yep.
and some of them are like, dude, man, like it was awesome, and I think he's a really cool guy, and that's how I found out about XL Saga was like, because he was there, and they're like, hey man, you got to research him. I'm like, well, research who? Like, who is that? And
Right.
then like after the Walmart incident, I was like, yeah, bro, I'm gonna have to research him because I need to know why. He looked like he just discovered Bigfoot was real when he walked into that Walmart.
Wow. Wow.
But
That's crazy.
so Blastoids actually wanted to. He shot a podcast idea at you.
Oh yes, is that him down there? Want to do a food podcast with me and Goku and talk about the best things to eat for cons?
That
Wow.
is a great topic. That is a
Interesting.
good topic. Because I don't
Yeah.
know if you're aware, but a lot of con goers live off of sugar packets and water during the weekend of a convention.
Oh man, come on. See,
What?
I gotta be healthier than that. I'm not a baby like y'all. I'm not in my 20s. I gotta be like slow burning fuel, oatmeal and oh, you got a cat?
Yes, he's
Aw.
he's parroting right now.
Hello. Oh my goodness. Hello. What a sweetie.
I feel you on the. I can't even eat because of the nervousness, so I like try to like
Really?
nibble. Oh yeah, and it's crazy because I
Wow.
go to open mics.
Oh
I go to
yeah.
raves, like I said, but
Yeah,
nothing makes me more
you
nervous.
gotta have fuel.
Just to answer this question real quick, yes.
Yes.
Yeah, it was him.
Oh wow.
But like food, so like that's one of the things that we've talked about. We've in this podcast, and we're kind of breaking up into two podcasts. We're doing Dark Side of the Community, which is actually a
Mm.
play on a TV show on Viceland that's called Dark Side of the Ring,
Oh okay.
and they do like the horror stories of professional wrestling.
Oh my gosh.
And so, like, why don't we do something like that, but with the cosplay community, especially as it's becoming, like, I'm a parent now. I have a daughter.
Yep.
Uh, the con chair of Anime Dallas is the godmother of my child,
Okay.
so that's how I know her.
Okay.
Uh, so that gives me an unfair advantage. I
Right.
know. Sorry, everybody, but like she's gonna get older. I'm not gonna introduce her to the community until she's like an adult.
Yep.
Because I've been around here. I've been going to anime conventions. I've been watching anime since like I don't know since I can remember. But I've been going to anime conventions since 2007. Onicon 2007 was my very first anime convention, and I was so amazed by this community, by the people that made their cosplay. I instantly fell in love with it. But I noticed that as I got more and more involved with the backstage stuff, that everything wasn't always what it seemed. So I'm like, why doesn't somebody talk about this stuff?
Mm-hmm.
Why
Mm-hmm.
doesn't somebody address it? Because there's so much,
Mm-hmm.
and like, and people are like, well, why do you want to bring up all the dirty laundry of the community? You're just gonna make the community look bad. I guess my perspective changed once I became a parent. Like now that I'm a
Yeah.
parent, I was like, yeah, no, no bullshit. I'm not gonna allow this to just.
Well, it depends on depends on your whole approach. You know, if you're not doing it to be controversial, you know, you're
Hmm.
not you don't want you want to do it to bring things up that you think are important to talk about,
Hmm.
so that people can be aware. Just to raise awareness is one thing. To be a you're not a drama channel. You know, you're not trying to just to be a drama
No.
channel.
Hmm. No, that's
So
right. I mean, people think of it. Think of us that way because whenever we talk about, we're not going to
They
say
call
who or
them
what.
toxic, which I don't think is true. I
no, no,
say
no,
it's
no.
blunt.
Well, no, no, that's a different story, and I'm not going to get into that this episode. But we do talk about like some like conventions. We're not going to get into that either. But I do bring up like if a convention does something that it's a bit controversial, we will like acknowledge it. We will bring it up,
Mm-hmm.
but we're not trying to be that channel. Like, oh, we're not trying to be like a propaganda channel. You know, this con is trying to like steal your money. Like, no, no, no. We what we want to do is we want people to be aware of what's going
Sure.
on because like it's not just my child that I'm looking out for. There's a lot of
Absolutely.
Grown adult
like young
children that
kids.
go to
Absolutely.
cons that
Yep.
hear the horror stories and get scared but try to still go.
And as soon as I announced, so just to share with you, as soon as I announced that we did Dark Side, like we were going to start doing Dark Side, people started like messaging me left and right.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, can we talk about this? Can we talk about
Wow. Yeah.
that? Can we? And I have to be very selective
Yep. Yep.
with what
Yep.
we talk about because.
It depends on why you're talking about it.
Mhm.
You know, it all depends on why you're discussing it. If you want to discuss it just to get viewers and subs and hey, we're talking dirt about this and that, then that's one thing. If you're saying, hey, we need to talk to people to make them aware of certain things that, you got to be careful about it because, I mean, if it's delicate issues, you need to be careful about how you talk about them, sure, but it's
Yeah.
it's all about what your intention is. What's your intent?
Are you aware of this, by the way?
What?
You're not. Are you the fact that some people stack 8 people in a person room, and then there's that one person that sleeps in the tub?
Because they're trying to save money on a hotel room?
Yeah.
Well,
I have been so fortunate that's never been me.
yeah, you don't want to do that. That's a
Yeah.
lot of people.
It is a lot of people. So
And
for
hotels let them do that? There's
I
not a
don't
rule
know.
against that?
The hotels are very much aware that people are
Yeah.
doing that,
Yeah.
but they can't just go in there and barge in and catch them with their hand in the cookie jar. I
Right?
used to work for a hotel. That's an invasion of privacy.
Oh, yeah. Right.
So they have to catch them in the act.
Wow.
So
Mhm.
like, yeah, they know. They know. Trust me, they know. They're
Sure.
not dumb. I used to work for a hotel. Uh, they know who's smoking, who's vaping, everything.
Which
They
hotel
know
chain?
all of
Which
it.
hotel chain did you work for?
I used to work for the Sheraton in Houston. It was called the
Okay.
Sheraton Brook Hollow. It's off of 290 and 610.
Okay.
They're talking
Uh,
about the hotel I went to,
All
actually, for facts.
right.
so like, well, for instance, for Comic Palooza at the Marriott, this is the fancy Marriott with the
Oh yeah.
pool,
Oh
the
yeah.
pool shaped like Texas. It's
Yes.
200 a night.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's
If you want to go to Comic Palooza and stay nearby, you're putting out some change.
mhm,
Those are
absolutely.
those are some serious hotels. The Hilton on one side, the Marriott on the other. Yeah, definitely. There's lots of hotels nearby, but if you want to be close to the action, yeah, you're putting out some money for those rooms.
Like at least half a grand, yeah. That's
Mhm.
how it felt for me when I went to Tennessee because the con was um, in the event showroom
Yeah.
that had a sky bridge to it,
Oh wow.
and that
Yeah.
was like 500 for 4 nights.
Right.
So, and I'm okay with putting out because I'm all about comfort, right? I don't want to show up
Oh
at the
yeah. Of
Uber.
course. Yeah. Yes.
Um,
Definitely.
but we definitely appreciate that feedback on the dark side, John.
Yep.
I actually brought it up with our previous guest, like a guideline to safety. At this
Yeah.
point, I did something stupid. I went out of state for my first con, but I went with someone that I knew, like who was at
Sure.
guardrails with me at raves,
Sure.
and we were like all protective over each other during the entire time in the con.
Right.
So I want to talk about your experience at cons because as a voice talent, you have a book schedule. Like
Yeah.
like us, our schedule is like we try to keep our schedule to one con a month because like we don't
Mm.
really make anything from the cons.
Okay.
Like we're not at that position. Like either way, we have people that approach us and like, hey, I want to be on the show. How much do you charge? We don't charge anybody.
Right.
If somebody wants us to pay them within if it's a reasonable price, we'll think about it.
Right. Right.
But we don't charge cons anything. We try to do everything's on a voluntary basis.
Right.
Uh, so that's why we try to limit ourselves to one con a month because I can only
Yeah.
imagine like your voice talent, your weekends have got to be super packed. Like
Well, it's only been recently. I mean, last year I did about 10 conventions, and that was the most I'd ever done. And then this year I'm doing almost twice that many.
so
Uh,
that's still a lot, even if you're getting
yeah. Oh
paid
yeah.
for them and you're a
Sure.
guest for them. That is a lot because
That's a
most
lot.
people will only do 2 or 3 a year.
No, I mean, I wanted to kind of boost that up, and I like traveling, and I like meeting people. I like going to conventions, and it was something that, and when I go to a convention, I'm still wearing a mask. I mean, I'm still not just for COVID, but for con crud, for strep, for RSV, for all the stuff you can catch. Plus, you're in airports, and you're a voice actor. You don't want to get sick, so the
Right.
the masking thing for COVID really helped me stay well all year from sinus infections, from all kinds of stuff. So I'm still doing it. And you can control that. You can decide when you want to wear a mask and when you don't. You can do a panel with one. It doesn't matter. So it's something that's helped me. Doing more conventions has helped me get out of the house, travel, do more business, network with people, meet more voice actors, meet more directors. It's really been a fun thing. Meet more fans. It's been great. I've really enjoyed it. The cons I like the most or let me put it this way. The way I like to do a con, if I can, is whenever the con's being held in the hotel where you're staying. That's obviously a lot more convenient because sometimes you can always run up to your room and take an hour nap if you need to before a panel or after a panel or before dinner. If you're feeling drowsy, if you didn't get sleep that last night, whatever, you can kind of rejuvenate a little bit, recharge, grab a shower, do what you need to do. It's a lot more convenient. If your hotel's off site, then you've got to either get an Uber, get a shuttle, get a whatever. So it depends on where you're staying. So that's one thing, or how close the hotel is. So the closer you are, the better. I like to travel to a convention early. So if it's starting Friday morning at 10 a.m., I really want to be there the night before and crash, right?
Hmm.
I do not want to fly up at 6 o'clock in the morning and then just hit your table and go all day. That wears you out. That can be a little bit of a grind. And I like doing. I think most voice actors will agree with this. That you like doing at least a couple of panels, but not too many. Not like 6 or 7. But I do whatever they want me to. I mean, I'm at your disposal. If you hire me to be, if you let me come to your convention, then what do you need me to do? So
So with that being said,
yes,
we're gonna need you to come to karaoke at Delta. I mean,
Okay,
it's gotta
cool.
happen.
No, okay. Oh, you're doing Delta H?
Yo.
Yeah,
We're
we
doing-
so Delta H is our WrestleMania of. We throw one of the biggest room parties,
Yeah.
hotel room parties at Delta.
Right.
There's a suite that has 2 connecting rooms, and they have a little tiny hallway
Okay.
that has a door that closes.
Oh, I'm sorry. Let me stop you. On my end, I just saw my screen go to black.
Yeah, your signal dropped.
Whoops. What
You're
happened?
frozen. You're frozen.
What?
Yeah, you got frozen face bad.
Oh no.
We can
me?
hear you. We can still hear
Okay.
you. You sound great.
Well, what should I do?
Hold on. Let me. Yeah, your signal's at red, like red.
What?
You have. It says network connection 0 out of 10.
No way.
Yeah, I'm dead serious.
Well, hang on a minute. If you're still hearing me, then I'm still coming through the internet.
Yes.
You're coming through vocally, but just not video wise.
Wow. Well, what do I do to fix that? Let me see. Should I leave and try to come back in?
Yeah, just refresh it. Leave.
Should I
come
click
back.
should I click leave and try to come back in?
Yeah, you can go ahead and do that. Yeah, you
You
Okay,
can
can
try to refresh the
I'll
tab.
be back in just a second.
Press Alt4. Press Alt4.
Don't listen to Blastoise. He's a troll. All right. With that being said, though, for those of you that aren't aware, Delta HCon is this year, June 1st to June. I'm trying to click on the calendar.
June 20th something.
No, it's June 30th through July 2nd. So our big event is called Into the Drunkenverse. This year, July 1st at 8 p.m. That is right. Into the Drunkenverse. Celebrating the 15th Delta HCon with Geeks 5 ever. I know Blastoise is going to be there, all Blastoise and it up. Better stay fully clothed this time, Bato.
What? I haven't seen Blastoise since like early 2010s.
Am I back?
Yeah,
yes,
you're back.
You're fully moving.
Your signal's a lot
Okay,
better.
cool. Serious. Oh, now I'm now seeing it in real time with you guys. Before I was looking at it, it was like I was way behind when I saw myself.
Like
So
an
I
old
don't
kung fu
know how
movie.
it looked on YouTube, but now it looks all right. Okay, cool. Hi guys.
So the way I can see it, the way I can see it, is the way it's going to be broadcasted, and you looked fine throughout the entire.
Okay,
show.
great. So let's see. What were we just talking about? Oh yeah,
We were
so
just talking about
Delta H. Yes.
So we throw the con is okay. So the funny thing is, the con is aware.
Yep.
Of our room party.
Right.
The hotel is aware of the room party because we do it every year.
Okay.
Matter of fact, the general manager is so cool about it. He doesn't work there anymore, but he was so cool about it because we didn't trash the room.
Yep.
We completely picked up everything. We cleaned it up, and we were really respectful about it. Like we never had any. The reason why we do all those 3 rooms, because when you close that extra door, it creates an extra layer of wall, so the sound has to go through.
Right.
And one of the rooms is directly to the side. It's a corner. There's a bedroom, the suite, and then an extra room. So
Okay.
that 3rd room creates another set of walls that the sound has to travel through.
All right.
So you can't really hear it that well. And so we do our WrestleMania parties. We do karaoke for them every year. We do a few panels. We do several things for Delta every year. As a matter of fact, we are presenting Delta HCon with an award, with an achievement award. I have their very first badge still.
Okay.
And this is back when they were at the University of Houston. They were these badges were printed on like some cheap paper.
Okay.
And I still have it. I have it in storage.
Yeah.
And so I already told the contra, like, hey, we're gonna give this to you as a gift because this is the 15th Delta.
Right.
Like Delta has come a long way. I don't know if you've ever been there before. I know.
I have. I've been there one time. I was a guest there one time. I think in 2017, 2016. When was I a guest there? I can look it up. But I was there a while back.
So I do so many panels normally that I never. So I apologize to you and every other guest.
Hey.
But I do so much for the cons that I never pay attention to who's a guest.
Oh, it's no big deal. So they've got me, I think, their schedule this year. They just sent it to me, and I'm in about 4 different panels. So some of them are VIP meet and greets, some of them are this and that, and so some of them are late at night. And so depending on when karaoke is, we'll try to make that happen.
It's super late, so I'm gonna sign up for a singing competition.
Okay.
I'm gonna see if they'll let me do the singing competition this year. I'll see what I do because I haven't submitted my panels because everything that's happened. Like we talked about everything that's happened
Yeah.
this year, and
Yeah.
so with everything going on, I still got to submit because we're doing two cons. There's two cons that same weekend within a 10-mile radius, and we're
Oh,
doing both.
wow. Okay.
We're
Okay.
hosting panels we're gonna try to host panels at both.
Okay. What's the other one?
BotCon.
Oh, yeah, Bakon. That's right. Okay.
Yeah, so the con chair has their con chair has been on our show. Sarah, the con chair of Deltas, was supposed to come on the show, but she's usually busy. She has like she has to run a con and work at the same time. So it's kind of crazy. Everybody's schedule, especially around this time of year, gets really crazy. So I knew you were going to one of the two. I just wasn't for sure
Yeah.
which one
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Right on.
because our schedule. So we just signed, like we didn't sign a deal. I'm sorry. We just came to an agreement with a different convention on something that we're going to do for them. We're just not allowed to announce it yet. But I can't wait because it's going to be so much fun. But like it's just like it's so hard to keep track of. So I knew you were gonna go to one of them because last year Tom McCree hosted the karaoke singing comp. We did karaoke in a singing competition,
Yeah.
and he did the singing competition. So that was interesting.
That's cool. All right.
Uh, so we definitely like I definitely want you to come back to maybe like if it's not too late. I'm hoping they don't do it too late because I know you have a lot to do that weekend.
Sure.
Yeah, because as a like people like when you're a talent, when you're a guest at a con and you're working for the con and they're paying you, they sometimes schedule you for some early shit and you can't stay up late.
Right. Right. Oh, and
Can't
you want to be at your table, early. You don't
mhm.
want to be. I don't like to be late to my table. I like to be there in the morning. I like to, whatever the con needs me to do. So I'm at their disposal. So if they want me to do a late night panel and then get up early the next day, I mean, there's worse ways to spend a weekend. That's my big motto about
Oh,
conventions, right?
I
I mean,
have
I'm not going to complain about anything. I think everything about going to a con is a perk. And unless you go to a con that either doesn't feed you or makes or doesn't have their act together, and I've never really been to one, frankly, but I've been to a couple that I had maybe some minor complaints about, or I wish this was a little better, or this and that, but I can't remember much. But unless a convention is really dropping the ball on something and inconveniencing you, or they don't care about your comfort or something like that, but I've never really run into that. You know what I mean?
mhm.
So as far as I'm concerned, everything about going to a con is a perk. It's awesome.
It's great.
Love
It's
doing it.
fun,
And
especially
you get to meet all your fans. I mean, what's there to complain about? So I think I always tell them, look, whatever you want me to do, let's do it.
mhm. I do complain sometimes because I'm like I have to remind them, hey, can y'all stop scheduling me for panels at 8 in the morning because y'all will schedule me until
Because
3.
nobody's gonna be up at 8 in the morning.
Because like I was running karaoke one year until 3 in the morning, and they're like, oh, "Okay, you have a panel at 8." I'm like, "You're
3 in the
shitting me,"
morning. You ran karaoke till 3?
and I'm like, are you shitting?" Like, so I'm just gonna go to my room, drink, and just stay up.
Wow.
And that's what I did.
You
I showed
could.
up miserable. I showed up miserable. I'm like, "All right, let's get this over with."
Oh my gosh.
I was so mad. I was messing.
I
was
went
trolling
okay.
the audience.
My worst experience I will share with you is that because I went to a con one day on no sleep, none. I could not get to sleep, and I was really ticked off about it, and I had to go to a con the next day here in town, and I had no sleep. But I got through an 8-hour day, and then I crashed like a log for the second day. Right, I slept like a stone, but it was really bad. So. And it was in this very loud arena kind of setting. So we had our tables all day. We were at our tables all day long. And there was a lot of noise. And we were literally like going, what do you want me to sign? What's your name? Because you couldn't, there was a stage next to us and everything. It was crazy.
Yeah.
That's probably been the experience I'll complain about, but that's all right.
That's
I
perfect.
I don't really complain as much as I'm like annoyed. I'll be like,
Yeah.
whatever. Let's do it. Let's do it. And
Yeah.
like, dude, like I go into con mode. Like I don't sleep. If I
I
have a
gotta
break
get
during
I gotta
panels,
get some sleep.
I
I
love
gotta get some
running
sleep.
panels. I
Yeah,
love
panels.
panels.
Panels are great. Panels are fun, and you guys always seem to look like you're having a lot of fun. So
Like, here's the crazy thing. I don't know if you are aware.
yeah,
We don't plan any of them out.
right.
Not a
Okay,
single panel is planned out,
okay. I
except
mean,
karaoke because we got to set up the equipment.
right.
But like, there are no scripts. Like,
Right.
they're like, we've hosted panels for animes. I have no clue. Like, we did
Homestuck. Oh my gosh.
Homestuck versus
Oh
what is the name?
no!
What
I'm
is the
so
name? What is the name of that anime where everyone, like, it's a bunch of countries but they're personified as people?
Natalia.
There you go. That's
Hitalia.
what it was.
Hitalia versus Homestuck.
Yes.
Dude, I just learned about all that stuff the other day. I was listening to a different podcast, and they're going to have me on, and I studied I listened to some of their stuff, and they did a whole episode that I listened to in the car driving to Dallas to record some anime. I said I need something to listen to. I think I'll listen to some of this podcast that I'm supposed to be on pretty soon. And they did a whole episode about Hitalia and Homestuck and the fandom and everything. I was like, what in the Jesus? And I didn't
Literally in
understand.
the Jesus.
Crazy.
It's crazy because, like, there's so many, like, so there are some horror stories I've shared over the years on this
Sure.
podcast, and some I've shared them multiple times, but there are legitimate stories that I'm like, am I allowed to say anything? No, I'm not, because I still like that con and I still like working for that con.
Oh,
So
sure.
I'm
Oh,
not
yeah,
gonna
yeah,
say
sure.
I'm not gonna say shit.
Although
But
your
like,
run-in with the Homestuck character was really funny.
the Homestuck one and Hitachi one, it was the same format as the other versus panels.
Homestuck sounds like a crazy pants plot.
It
I
is, and did you want to say anything? Just because I actually
I
have.
have a bad I don't like the fandom because when I cosplayed Megazord from Power Rangers, and this is what it looked like.
Oh, look at you. Wow,
One
dude.
of the Homestuck cosplayers ran into my shoulder and it ripped
That's
off.
you?
Yeah.
That's you in there?
Yeah.
Bro, that must be really uncomfortably hot.
It was so hard to walk in that thing.
Bro, you're a trooper.
Like, and then, like, so in the last interview we talked about this, but I didn't even like pay for this picture. They called David and Walter called me over. Like, hey, come take the picture with us. Next thing you know, I'm like
Wow.
there for like 2.5 hours taking pictures with them. I'm like, I didn't sign up for this shit.
Gosh. That's crazy.
But
Yeah, so
like,
I was kind of surprised to hear stories about certain fandoms and how and it's mostly online. It's mostly about online chatter and online people jumping on each other about this and that. You got to take that with a grain of salt.
right. That seems to be the case.
Oh no, this
with
was
a
like
lot of
in
fandoms
person.
nowadays.
Yeah.
Because one of the one of the Homestuck people ran into him and destroyed his cosplay
Oh,
and
man.
didn't even come back to like apologize. They just looked at him like,
That's not
what?
cool.
Yeah. So I mean, I've tried to get into Homestuck, and this was back when I was in high school, so that was like millennia. No, I'm kidding. But I remember trying to click so much clickbaiting, and I was like, I'm just so done with this Homestuck thing. But they did it. The same creator created another one called, I think it's called The Circle or The Demon, and that one was really trippy. So I
Yeah.
feel like Homestuck was the trial child,
Mhm,
and then the
mhm.
other one was great. I actually
Right.
loved the second comic. Again, the same creator of Homestuck. And Hitalia, oh my gosh, it's another one of those crack animes where you learn so much about World War history.
Yeah.
I don't know if any of it's true, but I actually have a great grandma that survived the attempted beheaded of the Japanese in World War II.
Oh my
So
gosh.
some of it, yeah, she's basically a zombie at that point.
Okay, somebody just put a question up. They said, "John, were you around for glomping and yaoi paddles?" I'm assuming you mean glomping like people glomping onto each other, like
So dry humping.
What?
Yes. So
Okay,
you said
glomping there's so many different things that are glomping.
so
Oh my
so I can
gosh.
actually. You said you started going
And
to
yaoi
conventions in
panels.
2017, correct?
Say again?
You started going to conventions in 2017.
In earnest, yeah.
So this was way before that.
So glomping and yaoi paddles are way before that.
They used to take these paddles that said yaoi on them, and they would just randomly start smacking people over the ass with them.
Like,
This is called the dark side.
So they banned them. they banned them eventually because it was like,
Well, yeah. I mean, if you mean you just come up to random people without asking them and just swat them.
yeah, like that.
No, no,
It
no. You
didn't
can't do
happen
that.
all the time. So they sometimes they would ask,
Well,
and
yeah. You need
sometimes
to
they would just
ask.
randomly do it.
No.
And then the glomping thing, and this has happened, is where people just run up and start dry humping you.
Okay.
I remember hearing my first con experience where it was another Itachi Uchiha and another Itachi Uchiha, and the dude just ran up and like kissed him on the cheek and said, "Let's practice safe smecks." I'm gonna say it off.
So yes,
So
so I
Wow.
got tackled by two different girls when I was the Great Saiyan Man, and let me just say that I didn't realize that my zipper had been unzipped at the time. It
oops.
was zipped. It was no. It was zipped before, and by the time
Oh,
they were done, it was I was like, okay, get away from me. I ran. I
Wow.
ran.
so
No, I
I had
funny.
a.
cannot. I cannot say that at any con I've ever been to, I've witnessed any kind of
They
behavior
don't. They don't
like
let
my
that shit fly.
girlfriends.
They don't let it fly anymore.
Right?
It,
Yeah.
it's
No. No. Of course not.
this was this is when a
You're
lot
talking.
of
You're talking between attendees, right?
yes, this was
Yeah.
between attendees.
Right.
This was like from 2000 since I can remember from
Early
2008 till
2000s, yeah.
like
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
2012, I want to say.
Let's see. Okay.
Oh, this is
Also,
a
Uh,
do
good
you
question.
rent yourself out for custom voice lines for the right price? Well, I mean, in a way, I do. I do. You know, I've got a Cameo. I'm on Cameo.com, and so I can take requests to do just like everyone else on Cameo to say lines of certain characters or do. I don't say anything nasty, nothing political or no drama. Just hopefully pep talks, nice stuff, funny stuff. Tell your roommates
well,
to take out the garbage, whatever, but not
not to go into this subject or anything, but I
sure.
think it could be more into like whenever they go up to one of the voice talent, like, hey, can you say this from Dragon Ball Z Bridge or this
Oh,
from
right,
Yu-Gi-Oh
right, right.
Bridge? They
Sure,
kind of like that, and then
sure.
like there are some people that just refuse to flat out do it because
Okay.
I wasn't in that. I'm not gonna do that. They're
Oh, okay, I get it.
stealing. Yeah, I'm not. I'm not gonna go into that
Oh, that's
subject, but
interesting.
yeah.
Well,
Uh,
usually if somebody said, "Would you say this in a Dragon Ball voice?" If I was, I've never been in Dragon Ball, so if I would just say, "Hey, I wasn't in Dragon Ball, so I really can't do that." I
mhm.
can pretend to be in Dragon Ball, but
I mean, I wish I was in Dragon Ball, but
that's one show I'm actually relieved in a way that I mean, if they asked me to be in it, sure, I'd be in it, but I'm a bit relieved because I hear you will wreck your voice being in Dragon Ball unless you're playing a very specific kind of character. You're going to scream a lot.
yeah.
And I've racked my voice on some jobs. So
Sean
Ooh.
passed out filming Dragon Ball, recording for Dragon Ball GT when he was doing Super Saiyan 4 Goku. Uh, I think
wow.
also like you're in My Hero. You're one of the
Yeah.
you're considered in one of the top tier shonen, uh, animes.
Wow.
Like you
Mm.
because like you don't just do the anime now. Like you, if they need you for the video games now, you're gonna be in the
Oh
video game.
sure. Oh yeah. I've done a couple of them. Well, I've done one, which was the Heroes Justice, where
You
you're
did the second one
yeah, Heroes Justice 2. Yeah. And which is
because
very strange because when you're recording, you talk about something weird. When you go into record video game stuff, all your lines are completely disjointed and they don't mean anything. You're just going, huh, take that,
That's
more and more, whatever, whatever.
right.
So it's not
Yeah.
you're not pretending to be in a fight scenario and you don't record it like that. You just record the words. They just have a list of things that you record, phrases.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I am very much aware because I
yeah,
was there when they recorded one of the new. I'm not gonna say which video game, but I
yep,
was there for one of the recordings,
right.
and it was interesting. It was interesting to yeah, what you're saying,
Yeah, yeah.
and then like as you're watching it, as I'm playing the game, it makes sense now because like okay, the voices aren't matching up to the lips
Right, right.
because it's just like the director for the video game, like it's because Bandai usually handles most of that, and they have like, all right, let's just get this over with, that kind of mentality. But it's considered like I think that's just like kind of like the dream of a lot of people that aspire to be voiced. Like, you're in that. You're in the one of the top three anime. That means you get to be in the video games every year, and you get to do this and that, and all this convention. But people don't
Hmm.
realize it's a lot of work.
It
It
is.
is a
That's work.
lot
I
of
mean,
work.
it is work. And you when you go to a convention, if you're doing your job at a convention and you're getting up, you're at your table. You can't just be kind of doing whatever you want. You got to be on. You
Hmm.
gotta be cool to people, and you gotta be congenial, and you gotta be professional, and you know, it's a fun time. It's really fun. It's great to meet people. It can be nice and casual and cool, but you can't just kind of slack off and take advantage. You've got to. It is still work. When you go to a convention, you got to be you got to be business. You know.
I
Yeah,
do want to ask is
exactly.
definitely how is it when you get recognized off the clock? Because I know
Well, you don't really get recognized off the clock because you're not a film actor. It's only your voice, so people don't know what the voice actors look like. For the most
well,
part.
I wish I can say that. I actually live 5 minutes away from Farmers Branch, as you
Okay.
know.
Okay.
That's where Funimation's at.
All right.
We do have a lot of I do have a lot of run-ins with the voice actor for
Okay.
Deku at Petco. So
Oh.
you thought I have a cat, and I'm like, and I said Petco, it's PetSmart. I don't know. I don't want to be too specific because he's probably like, please leave me alone. But I do run into a lot of voice actors.
Sure.
Because I'm in the Metroplex. Like I'm in that area near.
So you happen to know what they look like.
Yeah, so it's like you kind of can't help but to know them, if that makes sense.
Right. I get it.
I know
But
the brain expansion is probably only the 10% that you could care about, but it's hard not to recognize them when you go to cons. Like if I can see Ian Sinclair like within my area because he is pretty close, I would immediately spot him. There'd be no way.
Right. Well, I'll tell you what does happen to me, and what's been happening to me a lot more lately as as like we said, anime is more and more popular. And this kind of came at me unexpectedly was that people don't recognize me when they see me, of course. But if I'm at the bank, if I'm at the dentist office, anywhere I am, and they say, well, what do you do? If the conversation never comes up and you say, I do voiceover. Oh, what do you do? Oh, do you watch anime? And they go, oh my God, what do you do? And I've had people at the bank say, oh, would you sign this for my cousin? They're going to freak out. Oh my God, I'm going to call my roommate. I mean, that stuff happens when they find out that you're in the industry or that you've done My Hero or One Piece or something like that. If they find out those things, then yeah, that's been happening a lot.
Good.
So that's cool, but they don't know me, but they don't know me by sight.
I'm gonna be
We'll
honest
see.
with
We'll
you.
hope
And
for it.
I get that. I get that from the fan aspect
Yep.
because I've told the story many times. Like I went to a club dressed up as Goku because I like to go and cosplay to the club,
Yep.
and like the band that was performing invited me, and they started like buying drinks because the guy was like, oh, I love fucking Dragon Ball. Like, let me buy you your drinks. I didn't realize they were Alice in Chains until they went on stage.
Oh wow, that's totally cool.
I didn't
Oh,
know
so,
I didn't know who they were.
somebody said your typecast in voiceover seems to be the stoic badass. Did you or do you have a typecast when stage acting? The good thing about doing voice acting is that you don't have to look anything like the characters. If I had to do what Mihawk does, I would just fall over. If you handed me his sword, I would not be the badass swordsman. So yeah, voice wise, I've got a deeper voice. So my whole career, I've always been the dad and the cop and the cop's dad. The dad who calls the cop on the other dad. No, or the evil corporate guy who runs the corporation that's going to take over the world that the teenagers have to stop, and he shapeshifts and has to die 3 times at the end of the show and stuff like that. So yeah, lower voice characters or characters with specific accents, like Gentle's British, of course, and more sophisticated. But on stage, no, it's been different. I've played different things on stage. I did a lot of musicals. I played, Harold Hill in The Music Man, and Bialystok in The Producers, and Emile DeBeck in South Pacific, and Frank Butler in Annie Get Your Gun, and all these. So I've gotten to play the romantic leading man sometimes, and sometimes I've been some comic relief, and it just depends. And what's interesting is that when I've been on stage, sometimes the casting of stage roles has depended on if I can do a certain accent. So can you play this Scottish dude that's going to come and show up and do this? It's like, yeah, I can do that or whatever. So it's been different on stage, but yeah, it's great about voice acting that you don't have to look anything like the people that you're playing, because I would not get cast. right?
Right.
You're
Imagine
just
if
providing the voice.
you.
Yeah, I mean, it goes for a lot of people, I think.
So Blastoise has two comments. One, you sound like Link when you did the ha. Yeah, yeah, yeah. What? So actually, so he has this question: what theater can we find you at?
Oh, well, I haven't done any stage work in quite a while. I think the last show I did was pre-pandemic. So when I, it's all here in Houston. There's a lot of the theater scene in Houston is huge. And so
Hmm.
there's the Alley Theater, which is the big major kind of Broadway kind of corporate backed theater in town. They do great shows. And I've never done a show at the Alley, but there's a Catastrophic Theater, Stages Theater, Fourth Wall Theater Company. There's tons of theaters here in town, Main Street Theater, and I've done shows with all of them. And there's a company called Music Box Theater, and they do cabaret. They do musical cabaret. So
I seen that
they're
one.
singing everything from they're doing everything from the Beatles to Sinatra to Lady Gaga to I mean, name it. They just do all the hits, and so they're friends of mine, and so sometimes they would hire me to be like the MC ass clown, doing impressions, doing characters in a comic way. And so the last show I did with them was pre-pandemic.
Oh
So I
wow.
haven't been on stage since before the pandemic, actually, and I'll get back to it one of these days, hopefully.
Uh, so actually, I wanted to ask you something because
Yeah.
we've gotten different. So this is based off of like I've talked to a lot of people. I've met a lot of voice talent before, and I've tried out, and I was gonna be in some. I was gonna be in something in Mexico in Spanish, but I'm not gonna say what because
Okay.
I had to sign an NDA. Uh,
Okay.
so when it comes to voice acting,
Yeah.
this is where everybody gives different answers. There are a lot of people that want to get into voice acting. They always ask
Right.
like how do you break into that?
Right.
For an example, like Johnny told everyone, like if you want to be a voice actor, you just get into acting.
That's exactly right.
So
That's
yeah, I was going to
exactly.
ask you the same thing, right? Like, do
Yeah.
you think like that is
There's,
definitely the
well,
gateway?
first of all, the best answer is I think there's no one good answer.
Hmm.
Everybody will give you a different answer, and it may work for you and it may not work for you.
Hmm.
And I hate to sound vague like that and kind of, beat around the bush, but yeah, absolutely. It's more about acting than about voice because a lot of people can do voices. A lot of people can, I mean, even if I go up to somebody who's got no acting experience and I say, hey, imitate your teacher, imitate your friend, they can probably do something close to that's different from their own voice. Or I say, hey, do a Texas accent. And they'll go, hey, I'm talking like I'm from Texas, got a truck, blah, blah, blah. I said, how did you do that? And they go, I don't know. I just did it. A lot of people can do different voices or could stretch their voice to sound like something. Or if they study accents on YouTube and how to do accents, they can learn to do accents, etc. A lot of people can learn that stuff. And tons of people can do the same types of voices, right? A lot of people can imitate Star Wars characters and Muppets and, Family Guy and this and that. And so doing voices alone isn't what I would tell people to do. It's most voice actors will tell you the same thing. Get into acting because your acting skill is really what you need underneath your vocal talent to be able to you'll do a whole lot better doing anime and doing
Hmm.
characters and doing animated films and shows and stuff like that because and voice acting in commercials and corporate video. I mean, it's all acting. It's all takes acting skill, but mostly anime because when you, like I said earlier, when you walk into an anime booth, if you don't know the show left and right, well, let me back up. If I'm a stage actor and I do a show, I get the script. We have a table read with the director. We meet all the other actors. We perform with them on stage. We rehearse for weeks. We read the play. We memorize the play. We know it by memory, right? When you go into an anime studio, it's completely the opposite. It's like a cold reading. It's like you went into an acting class and somebody said, read this, and you've never seen it before. You don't know the script, you don't know the context, you don't know the characters, and you've got to come up with it all on the fly, and you've got to be in the zone. And the better you are at improvisation and coming up with something on the fly and being really fast on your feet and being able to do a voice on top of that and being able to make it sound convincing, that takes acting skill,
Hmm.
right? So it's not just about having having the best microphone and learning an accent and being able to do cool voices. That's only the icing on the cake. The real cake is having the acting skill. I totally agree with Johnny and a lot of other people on that.
Oh
Mhm.
man, my heart raced. I thought you were talking about freestyling for a minute. I was like, oh goodness. And
So
it's not any different really. I feel like because
Yeah, yeah.
you can have like low quality iPhone or low quality Android and still produce such great bars, rhythm.
Yep.
One of the things I highly am aware of your cameo. Not that hard, so I might be hitting you up for some cameo on my music.
Oh, okay. Very cool. All right.
I was gonna agree with everything you said because with podcasting and panel hosting, it's very similar. Like people don't realize that hosting a podcast for the first time,
Yep.
it's nerve wracking. Like the first time I recorded something for the podcast, ugh, I went back and I listened to it and it was just like, "Hi, this is the announcement for the Geeks Forever podcast. So we're gonna do a podcast
You
once
were
a
like
week."
college. You sound like college radio. You were like, "Hey,
Yeah,
man,
it
what's going
was.
on,
It's
dude?"
like it was awful. And like the first time I hosted panels was like it was bad too. And people don't realize like
That's
like
funny.
how did you get like whenever I do podcasts, whenever I do panels, like you don't I don't do a script. Everything is just go with the flow. Everything is improvised. The joke, like when people try to troll me, I'll joke like we're in a panel and somebody starts trolling because you get trolls in panels.
Yep.
I'll start like doing stuff like that. Like, hey, you in the cheap seats, keep it down. Like, hey, you
Oh,
back
yeah,
there.
yeah. Right,
Hey,
right,
green Naruto, keep it down.
right.
Or something like that. And I'll just like troll back and it's funny, it's entertaining, but it takes time. It's kind of like the acting aspect. You have to like I use both of them to feed off of each other, but taking a public speaking class helps a lot, especially in that aspect.
Yeah.
Because that's really what it is.
Well, I tell people all the time, even if you don't take acting classes, do a podcast with your friends, goof around, do improv, do
Mhm.
sketch comedy, do anything, Join a sketch comedy class, take an improv class. And anything that helps get your creative juices flowing so that you are not nervous about that stuff. You have it second nature to you. When you walk in the studio, you've got a trick bag. You've got, oh, you want that, I can do that. You want this, I can do that. Because you got to be a professional. You got to say, if that's the sound you don't want, what sound do you want? Well, I can do that too. Here it is. They're going to
Mhm.
hire you. They're
Yeah.
going to hire you again. They're going to
Yeah.
want you, they're going to want you back.
Like same thing goes for panels. Like if the
Yeah.
panel is entertaining, if it draws a nice audience, people love it, people love you, it will come back like there are like I said, and I said this last time, there are only two groups in this entire like out of all the panel, all the groups and all the people that host panels, there are
Right.
only two groups that I am aware of that have ever had 15 panels during one weekend of Comic Palooza. And
Wow.
that was Airship Nikolai and us, Geeks 5 Ever.
Wow. That's like constant panels all weekend,
Yes. Back to back
practically.
to back.
Good
Yes.
Lord. Wow.
And I love it. I like staying busy
All
because
right.
I've been to so many
Sounds that way.
cons. I've been to so many cons. I'm like, man, and I say it on the podcast. You know what? When you're a con attendee, I hate cons. When I'm a con attendee, I don't have anything to do, no panels, nothing. I hate it. The con is like a glorified flea market, the
Mm.
dealer's room, artist alley. But I love cons. I love cons. I like working with them. I like doing stuff. I like being entertaining. I I respect I respect you like and I've told you like dude the job you have is hard like I could not I'm not gonna I could never do voice talent I can't that's just not
I
in
mean,
me
you never know.
maybe we'll see if they
Listen,
ever
we
need
need
like
more burns. Your
if they ever
burns are
do
infamous. Your
like
roasting skills.
if they ever need like like a Latino character to go in there like
Sure, there you go.
señorita
There you go.
me llamo
Or just create your own character.
like I have come here to kill Deku. Like just something Spaniard, I could do that. If they ever like if One Piece is ever auditioning for like a Spaniard character, I'll do it. But I like the improv. I like the stand up because to each their own. But like I gotta respect the hustle when it comes to being a voice talent because there's a lot of hustle in the game, especially in Houston when it comes to acting. When it comes to any type of industry in Houston, it's so diverse and it's so
Yep.
competitive. Like
Yep.
you gotta be on that grind.
Yeah, I mean, I gotta say that being in the industry as long as I have been has definitely helped me. I don't know if I tried to come in brand new now, if I could,
Hmm.
if I could land stuff. I mean, I got kind of got in on the ground floor a long time ago, and I know a lot of directors, and I know a lot of other voice actors, and I've got a rap sheet, and I've got a whole history behind you. So it's it's an interesting question. It's much more competitive these days than it used to be.
Hmm. It is. It really is because there are so many resources now that help you achieve your goal. Like
Yep.
you have YouTube videos, you have how-to books, you
Oh
have
yeah.
classes.
You've got classes online. Yeah, you've got people who are doing. Yeah, it's all over the place. And I also get asked a whole lot more than I ever used to. Hey, I got a friend of mine who really wants to get into voice acting. Can you give him some advice? Can you talk to him? Can you, this and that? And that happens a lot. Or other or people who are actors in town want to know if I can cut a demo reel for them. Hey, I've got a little bit of anime. Can you cut a demo reel
Mhm.
or a voice reel so that they can send it to a studio to try to get voice acting, to try to do some anime? That happens a lot too, and those resources are also out there too. A lot of people help you do that. So yeah, it's a big market,
It
definitely,
is.
definitely.
And like guys, you just honestly, as from a podcaster perspective,
Yep.
it is fun, but at the same time you got to realize that it's work. Like you got to
Yeah.
put in the work. And it
Yep.
like as of late, like Geeks I've ever the last 2 years I haven't really put forth the effort to advertising. Like our ratings were dropping substantially. Like it was getting bad, so I started promoting it more and more and more and more. And
Yeah,
now
I've
our
seen that.
ratings are
Yeah.
picking that up. They're picking up now, and
Right.
we're going nowhere. So I'm done posting memes on Instagram. Like that was the page where I posted memes, but I'm done with that. I might post occasionally, but it's a hustle, guys. You just got
Yeah.
to keep pushing forward, and trust me, with podcasting, there are a lot of people that do podcasting, and like if they're not successful within a year, they just quit. Like, oh man, I thought I'd be rich by now. I'm like, no, it doesn't work like that. I
Oh yeah,
mean,
you can't. I mean, look, if you go into something because you want to get rich,
mhm.
if that's your main motivation, you got a pile of work to do. It's going to be
Yeah,
much more of a hustle. It's going to be much more work than you think it is.
especially
And you
podcasting
never know what
and
people are going to like either. You never know what's going to
mhm,
take off. That was what I was saying earlier about, you never know why someone goes viral. And a lot of people go viral for the wrong reasons. You
yeah,
know, a lot of people have channels that are really popular just because people go hear them, talk nothing but drama and tearing people down and stuff like that, which is not my bag. But um,
mhm.
yeah, they'll get a lot of viewers because they'll be just to be controversial or whatever. But and that's fine if you want to go that route. Knock yourself out. But like, yeah, you're right. It's if you just do it for the popularity or whatever, if it doesn't, you can't really expect it to take off because you talk about competition. I mean, the internet is, you know, we don't have.
It's tough. It's really tough, especially in this community, like like in the anime, because that's why we go by Geeks Forever instead of like otakus or anime or anything like that, because we want to cover all aspects. Because there are a ton of anime podcasts, and I've listened to them, and some are better than others. Some are like, how long has it been? 2 minutes? I think I'm good.
Right, right.
But they're like we do occasionally do talk shit. Like we do talk shit on the show, but that's based on like actual issues. Like what I don't understand
Sure.
how people can like and it's like a very controversial mindset. Like we talked about like the people taking advantage of the fact that I, I'm trying to avoid getting into it, but like
Yeah.
these are like heavy topics to where
Sure.
like I don't want my kids around this shit. Like
Mm-hmm.
definitely these are things that we talk about, but we usually kind of like categorize those to their own episode. But like other than like whenever we do an episode like this with you, like we talked about before you came on, like, hey, we're just gonna talk, we're gonna ask people,
Sure.
we're gonna ask questions, we're gonna
Sure.
shoot the breeze here. There's no script, there's no like solid because normally you're one of the first few people that didn't ask me right away. Hey, so is there like a script?
What?
Everyone will ask me, hey, is there a script? I'm like, no,
No. No.
and they're
No, I
like,
mean, I've seen some of your shows here before on YouTube. So mean, that's how I knew who you were when I met you.
Yeah, yeah, you did.
So
You told me you
Thank
told me,
you.
and when you told me that, I was like, "What?" And I told 17, I'm like, "Dude," he's like, "Yeah, I've seen you on YouTube. You're that
sure.
channel that talks trash all the time."
Or
And
you have, but
he's like, "That's awesome." Because yeah, we do talk, we're controversial, but it's like
well,
it
but it's again, it's the motivation. I mean, what's your real bottom line motivation for talking the way you talk about stuff? If you have a complaint, if you have a gripe, if you have a concern, you're not putting thumbnails out there that say, "Hey, uh, you won't believe what we're going to talk about," or whatever. You know what I'm talking. You know what I mean.
yeah, like
You're
no,
not
we have
advertising yourself as a drama channel,
no, we're not. We we
right?
we 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 actually address them as actual issues. Like, hey,
There you go.
this is an issue in the community.
There you go. That's
Like for it,
different.
like outside of the community, you have sex offenders, you have pedophiles, and these are things that like, hey, they're they're in our backyard,
Hmm.
and like this has to be
Kidnappers, human
acknowledged.
trafficking,
And
things like
like there
that.
Yeah.
are
Yeah.
certain things that like I cannot. I wish I could share, but I
Hmm.
don't because it's one of those things to where it would stir the pot for no reason,
Right.
if it makes sense.
Right. No, I understand.
Right. But with that being said, we did keep you here longer than I thought we were gonna. I'm so sorry about that, by the
Oh,
way.
no problem. No problem.
Uh, did you? So, is there anything you would like to say? Anything you would like to promote coming up?
Well, no, just thanks very much for having me. It was great to be here. And yeah, if you want to, if anybody's interested in looking at my social medias or anything like that, I've got a website, johngremillion.com. And that has a store where you can buy prints that I normally sell at conventions. I will custom sign them and mail them to you. You can buy them on my store there. Otherwise, at the bottom of the first page, you can look at my calendar where I'm going to be at different conventions, at least the ones I can talk about right now. And then at the very bottom of the page, there's a QR code that you can hit, and that's my link tree. That takes you to my TikTok, my YouTube, my Instagram, etc. I'm not on Twitter anymore, but because didn't want to be after a while, I was like, this is getting ridiculous, so I decided not
We
to be
do
on
have
Twitter anymore.
your QR code right
Oh,
here.
there you go. Yeah, that's a nice little QR. Cool. Look at you.
So we got that up. So if in case you want to scan it, go
No
ahead and put
problem.
pause. Gonna leave it up there for 5 more seconds. We got
Thank you.
our mascot chilling next to you.
Awesome. Cocaine Bear.
So I
Awesome.
like the fact that you called him Cocaine Bear in your little
Yes.
advertisement because like we were hyping up that movie when it was coming out, but the
Yep.
mascot, our mascot, it's an inside joke during one of our shows. One of the co-hosts is like, "Bears aren't real; they're just grown men in costumes pretending to be bears." So ever since then, like the bear kind of just became the mascot.
That's
But
nice.
if you haven't seen it, there it is.
There you go. Yeah, I haven't caught it yet. I hear it's pretty interesting.
I'm gonna buy a bear suit and just cover it in baby powder and walk around the
You're gonna be
convention.
really, really hot in the bear suit too, dude.
I went to Pride Parade before pandemic
Yep.
in a cosplay in a Pikachu mascot cosplay,
Oh my god,
and I overheated so bad they had to throw me in the pool. So I'm pretty much
bro,
used to it at this point.
watch it. Golly, be careful.
I am very cautious because it is dangerous, but I do like the I like to make people laugh.
Right.
I don't care if people recognize me or not. I just like to make people laugh. Plus, I
Yep.
like the attention. But
Yeah.
so John's link tree is in our description below in the YouTube. It's in the YouTube description, the Facebook, and the Twitch description. So if you want to go ahead and check that out, all of his
Awesome.
links are available. His Instagram as well. Will he return to Geeks Fiber? That's one of the questions we were asked. That's up to
Sure.
him.
Yeah.
That's up to him because we would love to have him back,
All right.
especially after Delta. You talk a little bit about Delta,
All right.
and that's so with that being said, you guys go ahead and check out his stuff. Make sure you go and check out. Make sure you visit him at all the cons. Don't follow him to the airport. He's that's just rude because they do that to professional wrestlers all the time.
Oh
If you
no.
so for those before we ended it, so just real quick, okay, guys. So we are phasing out Facebook. At the end of the year, the podcast will no longer be on Facebook. So we are moving everything towards our YouTube channel. So we are live currently with John on the podcast, but the replay show will be available on Spotify Saturday for you to listen. So you can check that
Okay.
out. That is in our link tree as well. And unfortunately, guys, I do have an announcement to make. The first episode of Dark Side of the Community, the Chronicles of the Wonderland Maid Cafe has been delayed indefinitely. So the
Hmm.
first episode will be about photographers, the dark side of photography. So with
Okay.
that being said, I want to thank John. Thank you for coming on, man. Like it's been this is something we've been meaning to have you on since like last year when we found out that you had heard of the show, because like we were talking, like we talked about that, like dude,
That's great.
we gotta have a show, like this shit needs to happen.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, I'm glad it did. Cool.
Yeah, no,
Thank you so
thank you for
much.
coming on. Thank you guys. Make sure you also check out Short Stacks, Spotify and
All right.
Instagram. Make sure if you haven't already subscribed to our YouTube channel, check out our Instagram, check out our new Spotify on our link tree. You can find us on the Book of Faces, the Insta of Grams, the use of the tubes, the porn of the hubs. We're not on Pornhub. Don't believe that.
Don't do that.
Yeah, don't.
You don't want to do that.
No, actually, we tried to submit. You can submit podcasts on there too. Believe it or not, because
Wow.
we're in a because we have this warning right here.
Okay. Oh yeah. There you go.
The extreme sarcasm is
Extreme
surreal.
So it's
sarcasm.
just a running joke. Like the bear, it's just a running joke. We're not on there. So if you haven't already, yeah, Spotify, YouTube, Instagram, and Twitch. Remember, we're phasing out Facebook because Facebook is just getting bad. The algorithm is just not good anymore, guys. But
Wow.
with that being said, thank you for checking us out. Thank you for joining us. Everybody, have a good night. Peace, everybody. Peace.
Cheers. Thanks, folks. Thanks for watching. Good night.
Good night.